like a 2 hour lunch break. There was a 2 hour gap during the day. You couldn't go pick up prescriptions from the pharmacy. What I do know is that with CVS, these managers are incentivized to keep staffing low. They want to keep margins high, so they want to have the least amount of staffing as they possibly can, and then they get bonuses. So the managers will go and they'll work, and they may not work in the front. They may just sit in the back, and they pick up bonuses for that. All right, so some Walgreens pharmacists followed suit, and some pharmacies closed across 4 states during the 3-day walkout. On Reddit, where the walkout was organized, God bless Reddit, workers reported that the corporate leaders were visiting some locations. But unlike the labor action among CVS workers, the Walgreens walkout did not end with an agreement with the company's leaders. A CVS spokesman told Beckers the company is not seeing any unusual activity regarding unplanned pharmacy closures or pharmacist walkouts. Walgreens did not comment. Okay. So there we go with that. You could talk about some typical MAGA mindsets that are dangerous while simultaneously hilarious, i.e. Jordan Klepper's new piece. What did Klepper do? Let's see. I haven't seen Klepper's new piece. This was 18 hours ago. Let's see.
The Daily Show is back on the air, and so I'm back in the field. Just last week, I went to the shores of beautiful Lake Winnipesaukee and hit up my first Trump rally in a while. The ex-president has been busy campaigning and juggling certain legal commitments, while I've also been incredibly productive during these last few months. I've started 4 scripts, a little bit of a novella, actually. Long story short, 5 months later, bupkis. Very little to show for it. But I think it's been good, emotionally, and just to kind of stretch yourself, see what else is out there. Find your voice, really. Turns out, this is my voice, for better or worse. So I'm still warming up. But I was excited to see the sights and sounds and the long lines of politically engaged citizens.
Whatever Trump does is smart.
That's just sort of your boilerplate. You don't have to think through it. You've just given him that credibility. And it didn't take long to spot the new piece of must-have MAGA merch, the mugshot.
Never surrender to the tyranny.
What is Trump doing here on this shirt?
This is his mugshot.
Gotcha. So that was taken when he surrendered to authorities to have his picture taken.
Huh? It says never surrender, but...
Is that on the back? Is the butt? Let me see the back. Let me see the back.
I think
butt,
it's just Trump.
It's just Trump. So where's the butt part? That's implied. Nick, take me through your fit.
Well, I bought the socks in town.
These socks have Trump hair on it.
Yes, sir.
How much did you pay for this sweatshirt?
$40.
Yeah. How much you pay for the hat?
25. I think I get a hat at least once a month.
How many Trump hats do you have?
Probably 40 or so.
How do you feel America's doing under Biden economically?
Not good. I think, inflation and the gas price, everything has gone up. Milk and eggs are just through the roof, like buying regular food is, So you got to work 4 jobs to pay your rent. And
yeah. How much money have you spent on Trump swag?
a couple $1,000.
Wow.
If you guys haven't seen it, go watch Short Clever. It's 6 minutes long. I won't do the whole thing, but the first guy. This has been a theme, like that never surrender thing, the never surrender shirt with a picture of Trump where he surrendered. He literally surrendered to authorities, and then they wear that never surrender. I don't get it. Like I don't understand. I don't understand the ideology. I don't understand the lack of understanding, just like what basic words mean. It truly is a movement formed by... It's the dumbest movement in American history. There's no question there's never been a political movement filled with dumber people and led by dumber people. It's like the Republicans, they lost in 2012. They had this referendum. They're like, we got to be more pro-immigrant. We got to do more with healthcare. We can't be so aggressive on abortion. That's what all the data tells us. And they're like, fuck that, turn it upside down. Let's let all the dumb people be in charge. And let's just see what happens. And now we know what happens. This guy said he buys a new Trump hat every month. Your party can't define a women, is what you just said. You don't know how words work, but you can come up and talk to me about it. Can you define a women? Is another question. Now we're getting Now we're getting some triggering. Let's see. Let's try soup. Trump might be the smartest president ever. Whisper, send me backgrounds if you want me to try them. I can give him a shot. But a women, we cannot define a women. Nobody can define a women because that's nonsense. Jesus. Oh, Diva, you're Diva's in the Discord. I didn't know that. Welcome. What has any politician done for you? Well, this says Republicans. I can say that Democrats gave us protection with health insurance companies. We got pre-existing conditions. I think that we've had protections given to the workers that gave us the 40-hour work week. Politicians generally, they are approving funding for the roads, for the infrastructure that we use. I just heard an airplane fly overhead. They keep us safe in the skies. You have, I don't know, we could, I guess, keep going to school. I went to public school. I went to a public university. Those were funded by the government. Every time there's been a war, it's been the government who has paid for that. The government, literally, what haven't they done for us? Those would be politicians. But I'm asking specifically what Republicans have done for you. Could you tell me what Republicans have done for you? Could you tell me what Donald Trump has done for you? Could you tell me one thing that Donald Trump plans to do for you? Oh, Charles is here again? Charles got in trouble last time he was here. Charles keeps sending me, I'll just read you what Charles says. I'm going to read you. I haven't read Charles' messages. He sent me about 5 messages this morning. Let's see what you had to say in your DMs here, Charles. Let's take a look. I forgot that you were messaging me this morning. I didn't have time. All right, Charles. What did you have? Oh, there's just a bunch of videos. Nothing worth more than life. Oh, yeah. So this is the argument that we had is Charles, after I give Charles statistics and data, Charles said, that I just follow my life experience, and I said that's really stupid because our own personal life experience isn't really worth that much when confronted with data. He said nothing worth more than life experience, dude. Your failures and loses either make you or break you. Yeah, I don't know what that means, Charles, but again, your liberal wife, Charles has a liberal wife who works. Charles is a conservative man who doesn't work. Charles likes to come on here and make misogynistic comments about a woman's role. But again, meanwhile, Charles does not work. His very liberal wife does work and is the breadwinner for the family. But Charles comes on and pretends like he's like this, which is fine, by the way. That's great. I would be proud of that if I were you. I would be very happy if I were you, Charles, that your wife is the breadwinner and she can work while you smoke the devil's lettuce all day and get on TikTok and scream at people. I think that's great for you. But here's one of my favorite things. This is a real quote from Charles. This is a real quote. I'm not a study guy. I'm not a study guy. I go by my life, my bank accounts, or home prices. The fact I gave my daughter $40K in a car last month because she make $100K and can't buy a house. That's what Charles said. I'm not a study guy. And then he's telling me how much money he gave his daughter, apparently money that his wife is making. I don't know, Charles. I do know what you did for a living. So I would imagine that you don't just have like giant sums of cash lying around based on what you did for a living. So I appreciate that. It's all going to crash hopefully before the election, and Kennedy going third party should guarantee a Republican pres. Jesus, this is Charles. This is why nobody takes you seriously. It's all going to crash hopefully before the election. Charles is rooting for everything to crash, for the economy to crash, for wars to break out, and hopefully before the election, because Charles doesn't give a goddamn about America. Not one solitary fuck about Latino Coffee Guy. You're here. It's nice to see you finally here and not running from the one-on-one debates with me. You're welcome to come up. The floor is yours. But Charles wants the country to fall apart before the election, and then hopes that Kennedy can make spoiler. Then he will guarantee a Republican pres, and he'll take Charles' choices are, and I quote, the chick or the brown guy. The chick or the brown guy. That's what he said. Doesn't know their names. Just the chick or the brown guy. We'll keep going here. Then he asked me if I had a Facebook or Twitter. Wants to know about my private upbringing. There we go. A lot of unanswered messages. The last one was, I'm still trying to wrap my head around you siding. Oh yeah. So Charles asked me if I sided with Israel or if I sided with Palestine, and I said I side with fuck Hamas. That's what I said. I said fuck Hamas. And he said, I'm still trying to wrap my head around you siding with bloodthirsty, cowardly fucks who grape and unalive the old and very young, which clearly I didn't do. It's a major beta move. What do you think about all the fighting age men Biden is just letting flood the country? We talked about this earlier. The amount of violence now being directed. There's violence now being directed at Jewish people and Muslim people in this country. There is now increased levels of. I don't even understand Republicans. How can you be both like? How can you take both sides of this? Like, you're anti-Semitic one minute, then you're pro-Israel the next minute. Like, make up your minds. But I live around way too many. Oh my God. All right, Charles. I didn't read this before. I don't know about you, but I live around way too many brown fuckers, so I got 13 weapons locked, cocked, and ready to rock. Biden or whoever is in charge are using the oldest trick in the books to bring this great country down. Care to defend any of that, Charles? I'll give you the floor if you want to defend any of that. Care to defend these god-awful things you're saying in here? Where'd Latino Coffee Guy go? Is he still running? Latino Coffee Guy for about a year has been challenging me to debates and then doesn't show up. He'll only show up if there's a panel where he can jump up and last time he was on a panel, it did not go well for him. He cited the Declaration of Independence as his source for a law, which didn't make any sense. What's wrong, Charles? What's wrong, Charles? You don't want to defend any of that? You don't want to defend any of your racism? You don't want to do that? You want to DM me a bunch of racist shit and then sit in the comments like a coward, Charles? Is that what you want to do? Yeah, he's supposed to be the good guy with the gun. I think it meant racist guy with a gun. I think that's what we meant. How many messages did you send me, Charles? Unresponded to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 messages that I didn't respond to. 16. And now you want to be in the comments, Charles? What would your wife think about that? I'm pretty sure, Charles. I'm pretty sure that there are people in your family who aren't white too. Interesting. Del, dude, you can come up too. It seems like you like those comments. I'm glad Charles showed up. At least I have a little bit of something to talk about. But what's up, Charles? You begged me. Do I need to read the messages where you begged me to let you back up? Do you want me to read the messages where you begged me to let you up on my channel? Should I read those ones? How about this? Next thing you know, it's 1986. I'm off books making thousands, and I'm crew chief on the physical end of a refit. No, I'm not a nuclear engineer. I'm exact opposite. I had to fix every one of his problems by moving something mostly. Dude, you worked at a corrugating facility. You were a manager at a corrugating facility. Then I get odd, and let's just say some things caught up to me, but thankfully the two owners of Divas up and ran to the DR and destroyed all files and records. So thankfully a lot of us got off a lot cheaper. Yeah, I know, bro. It's kind of crazy. I lived at Northlight Boys Home with 10... Yeah, what are you talking about, dude? How about this, Charles? How about when you told me that you have court-ordered sensitivity training? How about that, Charles? Should we talk about that? Why do you have court-ordered sensitivity training, Charles? Still don't want to come up here, Charles? Charles? Should we talk about that? Charles is upset that I wasn't civil with him last time when he said the R word. He dropped an R slur last time when I booted him. He wasn't happy about that. He wasn't happy that I said some of the things he said sounded racist. And he says a bunch of racist shit in my comments. Where do you go? Where'd you go, Charles? Is he gone? Does anybody want to check? Gone. Charles is still not in charge. There we go. What did Ophelia's dad say here? Can you go into the type of health insurance you have? Yeah, Charles, the type of health insurance I have, there's cost sharing ones. They're usually Christian healthcare ministries is one. What was the other one that we talked about? They're basically you pay into it every month. It's a non-profit, and they cover your bills. They'll reimburse you for your medical bills up to a certain point. Yeah, I do disagree with Charles. that racism is cool. That's the main thing I disagree with Charles on, is that racism is cool. 10:38. We bet on for an hour and 8 minutes. Still no opposition in the box. This is incredible. Let's see. Whisper, did you make a background? What? Did you send an alert for did you send it to my phone? My phone, I'm using my phone, Whisper. I can't get a promotion on my phone if you send it to me, because my phone is currently streaming a TikTok. But Whisper's recommending that we go with Trump is the smartest president ever. Talk about Bernie for president. Well, I don't think Bernie's running for president. I don't even think that Bernie would have been necessarily a great president. I think that I like a lot of Bernie's ideas. I think he's best suited in the Senate. Look, I don't think restarting is actually going to make a difference here. I really don't. I mean, we're at 900 and whatever viewers here. So I don't think that's going to make a difference. Make Republicans win again. What would you do if you were a Republican? How would you turn it around if you were a Republican? How would you do it? There's this weird thing, like Vivek said it in his interviews today. I hear it from Republicans all the time. There's that stupid group that runs around on TikTok. They're called, like, I don't know, I can't even remember, like Nighthawk or something like that. Some dumb shit. But Republicans are like, we need to be unified. They say that all the time. Like, we got to be unified as a country. And then they want to bring up Donald Trump. They want to bring up Vivek. They want literally to bring up their least popular people. The people least likely to create any sort of unity, and then say, like, we need to be united. We got to figure this out. We got to be united. So everybody unite behind Trump. The guy that, like, talks shit on everybody. That's what we need to unite. Newsom, Buttigieg, I'd be fine with that. I agree. Look, I agree with that, Matt. Nikki Haley, I think, beats Biden. I think Chris Christie beats Biden. But Republicans they do not care. They are so obsessed with Donald Trump. Nothing but Donald Trump works for them. And if it's not Donald Trump, it better be somebody very, very similar to Donald Trump. You don't care. You are losing. It's almost like you're losing on purpose. It feels like that. Cohen's sick. Cohen is having some health problems. Saying he didn't show up today. Let's see. I don't know what it is. I saw a bunch of people saying get well, Michael Cohen, yesterday. But didn't Trump give up that lawsuit? I thought he dropped that one. Cohen was supposed to be a witness in Trump's case. I believe, though, the case that Trump had against Cohen was dropped. I don't see anything about that. Oh, he just postponed. Okay. There we've got it. This is AP News reporting. With Trump back at civil fraud, accountant testifies after key witness Michael Cohen postpones. Yeah, Cohen citing a health problem. I don't know what that is. So he's just going to be there next week. Who is testifying? Donna Kidder. She is one of the company accountants. Under point-by-point questioning about the intricacies of internal spreadsheets, she testified that she was told to make some assumptions favorable to the company. For example, she said, longtime former Trump Organization finance chief Alan Weisselberg told her to act as if all space in a Trump-owned Wall Street office building would be leased by a certain date, even if some space was currently vacant. For a Park Avenue residential tower, she was told to project that unsold units would all sell out in a certain time frame. Kidder said she wasn't aware that those assumptions would be used to improve Trump's bottom line on financial statements that helped his company make deals and get financing and insurance. Doug Larson, a certified appraiser and commercial real estate executive, was taken aback when told on the stand and was repeatedly cited as an outside expert in Trump Organization controller Jeffrey McConney's valuation spreadsheets. So they're just lying under oath. Oh, there we go. Now we got him. DJ something something.
Hey, what's up, Jay? I'm not
What's
opposition.
Yeah,
I'm not opposition, but
all
I
right.
heard you talk about unemployment, and I was going to give you a little insight because I'm a union labor, and I think we're at zero unemployment because I think that 3.5% of unemployment is union workers rotating out of the hall. Because like our hall, there's always a given 50 people that are laid off, that worked like 2 jobs, got laid off, and then the hall send them out for a job for a week, they get laid off. And a lot of our halls in the labor union do that. And iron workers and pipe fitters, they all do this. So I think it's just the rotation of union halls. So, because right now, our hall just laid off like 30 people today, but they're gonna send them out for work the next day to another job. So
Yeah, I would
constantly
imagine.
rotating out of the union.
I would imagine there's not enough union jobs to make up for that. I mean, I do believe the unemployment rate is real. I understand what you're saying, but I doubt that really accounts for. I mean, that doesn't account for the 3.8%. That's
and I
way too
mean,
many
it's not
people.
just labor, because we got almost 1 million laborers in our international, and then you got 4 million with the Teamsters, and you start adding up, it's quite about, it's like 30-40 million people that's constantly being rotated, because not everyone's got out of the hall, not everyone's working a steady job. It's always a 3-day gig, a month gig, 2 weeks gig, and all that. So I think it's probably, it might not be zero, it might be like maybe 2%,
I mean, 3.8% is 6.4 million unemployed people. I can't imagine that, and the amount of work in this country that's union work is limited. Anyways, I don't know what percentage is union work. That probably doesn't equate for that. But.
Yeah, and I heard one guy yesterday saying that people are sitting on unemployment. Well, unemployment is your own money. You pay into it. It's your own money, and you cannot draw unemployment if you never worked.
That's true.
So people, I don't know why people bring that up, and then they bring up the welfare thing, which right now there's work requirements. If as soon as you go to the welfare office, they send you to work because they got a bunch of minimum wage jobs waiting just to put you to work. So
preach, buddy, preach. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so
good points.
Yeah, so I'll let you go, and I'll let you.
Brother.
Hopefully, we get some conservatives up here because
There's some people
they don't
in the
like
box.
to battle.
So let's see what happens. There's a couple in the box. We'll see.
Yeah, they don't like to battle because I battle them all the time across this TikTok. So I'm a big creator.
Read the name Magic Stick. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I got 30,000 followers and like 400,000 likes. So
all right, well, I'll give you a follow. Let's do it again sometime.
Alrighty, peace.
All right, brother. Be well. Let's see it. DJ Magic Stick. Trevor Dillon, you were next. It's always a good sign when somebody doesn't have their shirt on. What's up, Trevor?
Hey. Yeah, I'm supporting Epstein and Trump 2024. He ain't dead. He's
Oh no! I'm so sorry. I was trying to unmute. I'm so sorry. I kicked you. Come back up if you're here. Come back up after Raw Prod. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or don't come back up. Don't get me in trouble. Raw Prod, welcome.
Yo. Testing. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I will argue for him being here because you can't know what is intelligent without something that's stupid, and you can't know good without having the bad. So this is where I get a lot of it's weird. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm like, yep, we need Trump because we become too complacent. I had one person on the live say that, Trump has made me an activist. So I don't have a lot here to say. I'm not here to support Trump, except for the idea that at least we are talking because of Trump. He's the wish version of Schindler. He's the It's like if we had the same kind of social media, if we weren't in the 21st century, if we weren't interacting with each other digitally, like he could somehow continue to try to be the dictator that he wants to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks for smiling, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love your lives.
Thank you.
keep
Appreciate
watching.
it.
Yeah. All right, man.
Bye. Did I hear the master debater was here? Did Jen did Jen mute Charles until he gets in the box? Is that what you did, Jen? I saw that he got muted, and then I see you talking shit. Please listen. God. All right. Fuck it. Whatever. We'll just do it. I can't get opposition today. Whatever. I saw the king of debates was here. I assume that means HVAC. The Latino coffee guy went running. They're always running. What's up, Trevor? You can finish your
Hey,
spiel.
oh yeah, I was just saying that Epstein, he was railroaded, and they've been
I don't
pretending
agree
he's
with any
dead.
of this. TikTok, if you're
Just,
listening, only
George-
get rid of this guy. Don't get rid of me. I
George
don't endorse
Soros.
any of this.
George Soros is in a conspiracy with the Russians and the Jews to hold Epstein and Trump down because
Yeah.
they're innocent and none of the charges are true.
Yeah.
There ain't never been no election fraud. Just because Trump asked for some extra votes from elected officials and demanded them does not mean he broke the law.
Yeah. It's good to see.
And Trump was trying to drain the swamp.
Yeah.
So he told the DOJ, you guys got to stop prosecuting child trafficking cases
Yeah.
because they had been prosecuting too many under Obama. So he said, we
right.
got to stop that. Too many good men are being prosecuted. So let's cut
Hey.
that down by about 75%.
Trevor, I just got a message from the deep state. I got to bump you. You did get a flag. I got to bump you. Sorry, Trevor. I can't do anything about that. I just got to protect it. Rooster's Revenge. What's up, Rooster?
Rooster's realm, but yeah, revenge is close enough. How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you? Do you know about the Rooster's Revenge?
I don't know about Rooster's
You know anything
Revenge.
about cowboy poetry?
Not really, man. I'm
All right.
a cowboy fan.
right.
Another reason to hate me.
Do you know what cowboy poetry is?
Not at all, man.
It's like when I grew up there, used to go to like these places. They do like a chuck wagon dinner, and then it was just like a cowboy would do poetry. Some was beautiful, some was very funny. There's a great poem called "The Rooster's Revenge."
Oh, right on, man.
I'll share it
It sounds
sometime.
cool. We don't do too much of that in the Dallas area here. You know, it's kind of cosmopolitan as compared to some of Texas. You know,
That's right.
but
You uppity cosmos in Dallas.
but hey, man, I'm here to be your opposition. I
appreciate
wouldn't say
that.
I'm the. I mean, I'm a Trump supporter. I was unwilling at first, but as he became president, I liked a lot of the things that he actually did, and he actually did what he said he was going to do. I did like that about him. You know, and I agree with most of his policies, and you know,
What do you
things
feel like
Republicans-
What do you feel like he accomplished that he said he would do?
Well, you know, he got Remain in Mexico going. He really limited the southern border, controlled that. That's a big issue for Republicans, especially people from Texas.
I don't think he campaigned on Remain
He
in
did.
Mexico.
Well, maybe not specifically on Remain in Mexico, but he did campaign on the border, build a wall, that kind of stuff.
Which he didn't do, right?
He built some of it.
14 miles,
and
right?
Biden built some more recently, apparently.
6 miles. So we're up to 20 miles, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey,
Did Mexico pay for
I
any
think
of
they're
that?
trying to derail here. Again,
No, I'm asking. No, these are fair questions.
Yeah.
If you're saying,
I'll get to him, but I mean, I'm saying he did a good job on the border. Now, I'm not here saying the only way to handle the border is to build a border wall. That's not how I feel. So, I mean, if you want
all
to
I was responding to is you saying that like he kept his campaign promises. That's all I was saying. Because he said
okay.
he would build
that's
a
fair.
wall and Mexico would pay for it. He didn't do either. Of
So he
those.
didn't build
and
the
they
whole
didn't.
right. And again, I thought that was a ridiculous promise. You know, Mexico's going to pay for it, right? I mean, you can finagle numbers to make it look like anything happened or whatever. And I'm sure he would have a case for that, but I don't have a case for that, and I don't really care. What I do care is that the results are the border really calmed down during his presidency. And again, for someone from Texas, that's a big deal to us. People get 10,000 immigrants in New York and they think that it's a catastrophe. We have that coming in every day in places like Eagle Pass that have like one stoplight. How are they supposed to handle what New York handles? It's a big deal down here.
I would push back. Border crossings went up under Trump massively. They were up by the end of Trump's presidency. They were before COVID. Before COVID happened, border crossings were at record highs. They almost the border crisis got significantly worse under him than it was when he took over. I'm looking at in May of 2019, the border crossings were at 132,000. When he took over, they were below 50,000. At peak of like 60,000. So I'm confused by your numbers here. Did I lose you? Finally get some opposition and it's taking a break. Looking up the stats. Did we lose you? Did we lose you?
No,
Roosters?
I'm still here, man. You're sitting there
okay.
Googling the whole time I'm talking, and then you don't want me to be able to have any resources. You want to, take shots because I want to try and look it up. So
I wasn't taking shots. I just when you leave your screen, I don't know what you're doing. So I was just asking.
Yeah, well, I told you
sometimes
before
you get
I did
a phone
it.
call.
I guess you didn't hear me, but I told you before I did it. I said, hang on, I'm going to take a look at the numbers. But,
okay. I didn't hear that.
I understand that's not great for production, but the numbers are monstrously up now, regardless of where they were then. Now, maybe they were in the same area. I know that much, but they certainly weren't what they are now. So
right,
was he holding back a floodgate, or was he doing a terrible job?
But wait, what you said is he got the border back under control.
I said he did a good job on the border, is what I said.
Well, it got worse under him for his presidency. How's that doing it good? Like if it got worse under Biden,
relative to how it is now. I mean, it's amazing to how it is relative to now.
Is it possible that maybe this wasn't about who the president was?
For sure, yeah. I mean, do you take that approach about everything? During Trump, did you just shit all over him for COVID and stuff like that, or did you go, no, it's possible this isn't about who the president was?
Yeah, you probably haven't been on my live before, but things like economic numbers, unemployment, stock market. I don't think the president should get any credit for that. I don't think the president really has much to do with that at all. I'm pretty consistent on that.
Minimal involvement. I think that's reasonable. But if you want to say he didn't do a good job on the border, you could say that. I still think that he did relative to how it is now. I mean, it's a disaster now.
But way worse than Obama, right?
Oh, it wasn't way worse. I know it was way worse.
Obama's peak was around 60,000 in January or July.
I'm not going to go away and look again, but what I looked at looked pretty steady for quite a long time, and then skyrocketed under Biden.
No, not under Biden.
Well, it's skyrocketed. It's like triple what it was under Trump, according to what I just looked at.
It's not triple. Trump's peak was 130.
Just be honest. Yeah, what is it?
Hey, well, if you let me finish question.
I'm not trying to be rude to you, bro.
So it's consistently over like 200,000. The peak, I think, was 224,000 under Biden. The peak under Trump was 132,000. So it's not even double. It's less than double.
Okay, well, that's really bad, right?
Okay, but Obama's peak was 60,000 and Trump's peak was 130. Wait, hold on, dude. Hold on.
Okay.
Obama's peak was like 60,000. Trump's was 132,000. So his was more than double. So Trump did a significantly worse job, it looks like, than Obama, right?
But significantly better than Biden?
Fair enough.
Right.
But,
so I'll agree with that.
Good. So is it possible that maybe this doesn't have to do with who's president, but has to do more with the insecurity with countries south of us and people looking for jobs, people escaping places that are dangerous for them? Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with our president. Maybe it has something to do with what's happening south of us.
It's obviously at least 2 points. I mean, it's multifaceted, but if you're going to say, are people trying to come in more numbers now? Yes. Are they doing so because they're not as discouraged as they were? that's a question that's out there. If these people weren't
How would you
allowed
answer?
in,
How would you prove that that's why?
that's very difficult to prove. But I'm saying under Trump, we had remain in Mexico. We had, people weren't allowed to come in and claim asylum like they are now as easily. They had to go through the ports of entry, or they had to remain in Mexico to wait to claim asylum. Whereas now they're doing
Which
things
is
here.
illegal, right?
They're doing it's so you're supposed to enter through a port of entry if you're going to claim
You don't
asylum.
have to. It's not true.
You're supposed to.
No, you don't. You don't have to. You just have to. You have to get to the, like, obviously it can be against the law, our laws, but if you're seeking asylum, you just have to get to American soil, and then you have to find.
Well, against the laws is good enough for me. So you're
Well,
supposed
it is,
to
but
enter through the.
Sure, but what's the problem?
If we ignore the laws, it's not illegal. Is that what you're saying?
But what's the problem with going to a port of entry versus somewhere else? If you're
It
an
just
asylum
makes
seeker?
it more difficult, which slows it down.
How does it make it more difficult? What do you mean it makes it more difficult?
Well, you got to wait in a longer line. You got to wait in Mexico. You got to do things that you don't necessarily want to do that make it less appealing. If you want to go to Jersey Mike's and there's no one in line, you may go. If you hear there's 1,000 people in line, you probably won't go.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, like, why does it matter to you whether they go to a port of entry or they come across someplace else?
I want it to be a more difficult process. I don't want it to be
Why?
an easy process to get into the country.
Why?
Because I don't want open borders.
Why?
Because I don't want endless free stuff that we're giving away to people of every nation. It's not
What free
for-
stuff are we giving them?
Everyone that comes here gets to use our roads, our schools, our hospitals, all that stuff for free.
For free? What do you
If you go to an emergency room and you're illegal, they will see you. They will take care of you. You don't get a bill. You don't have to pay it.
You do that if you're a citizen here too.
Right? So why
don't have
would
to
we
pay.
add the rest of the world on to being able to do that?
Well, we're not adding the rest of the world to be able to do that. But why?
You're actually
Why?
trying to
I'm
add the
asking
rest
you.
of the
I'm just
world.
asking you questions. Why not just
Yeah.
make it easy? Why not just make
Why
it
not
easier
just
for
pay the medical bill for the rest of the world? Because
if
we
you would
can't
let me
afford it.
finish. See, this is the problem that I think we have with discourse. Instead of listening for my question, you're just making up what you think my question is going to be. I would recommend just waiting for me to finish.
Go ahead and ask your question, sir.
Why not just make it easier for these people to come here and work?
Hey, if you want to do that, that's fine. If you want to pass new laws and follow the rules, that's great.
Amnesty? So would you support
No.
amnesty?
No,
Why not?
because that is just exacerbating a problem I just described.
What problem?
Endless people able to come here and utilize our
That's not what
resources.
do you know what amnesty is?
Yes, it's freedom. It's forgiving all the people that are already here, granting them citizenship essentially, and then letting them,
So they're
then they
already
can
here.
get
They're
all
already
the services.
So they're already here. They're already using the resources. Giving them amnesty allows them to work and pay into the system.
And
you think
vote.
that would that would be
work,
and
pay,
vote.
and get all of the benefits.
And what would be wrong with that?
Well, the fact that they stole entry to the country, they've already been using benefits that they weren't entitled to. Why would I reward them?
What is
Why
the
would I let them
problem
vote?
with that? I said.
Well, obviously you don't have a problem with it. It's endless Democrat voters,
Oh, is that the problem? You're afraid that they're going to vote for Democrats?
Of course they will. Democrats love to
Interesting.
vote
So
for free
wait.
shit.
So your entire argument boils down to you want more Republican voters.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that right?
I want more Republican voters. That's
Why don't
why
you guys
I'm
make
pro-choice.
why don't you make better arguments and then you'd
That's
have
why
more
I'm
voters?
pro-choice.
Why don't you make
why don't you make better
arguments?
You
and
can't
then you'll-
convince a bum that they need to vote for hard work.
A what?
A bum?
What does that have to do with anything?
A bum is not going to vote for the side of hard work. They're going to vote for the
Republican
free stuff.
states take more in government assistance than Democrat states. So I don't know what you're talking
Some
about.
do.
There.
Some do.
No, on average.
Not my state. My state pays in more than it takes out.
Well,
But-
your state's massive. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
here's what
have
happens
a
is
giant
you-
economy, and you're a huge state.
You flood
Yeah.
our state with illegal immigrants with an open border,
Yeah.
right? And then you
No.
put them into systems.
Okay.
And then we pay for these systems, and then you get mad and go,
What
"Why aren't
systems?
you?" Why? We did.
What
We already
systems
went
are
over
we
them.
paying?
We
What-
already
like,
went over them all.
The roads are going to be built
Some
anyways.
of them. Some.
So the roads are going to be
Oh, so you
built
don't need more
regardless
roads
of.
when there's more people.
The
You use
roads are
less
gonna be-
roads when
the
there's more
ro-
people.
Okay, and we've got 9 million jobs sitting unfilled. What should we do about those?
Hey, I'm for work visas. Yeah, let people come here and work.
Well, why not amnesty?
Because I don't want them to. I don't want the rest of the world's politics to come here for free.
What's the rest of the world's politics?
Well, South America is very socialist.
What's wrong with socialism?
I'm not for socialism.
What's
I'm
wrong
for-
with it?
It discourages people to act in the best way for capitalism to thrive. It's anti-capitalistic. It's more.
Obviously, it's anti-capitalistic. But what's wrong with
the
that?
motivation is to help your fellow man, not to better yourself. And no one will ever work as hard to help their fellow man.
Hold
as
on,
they will to
I don't
better
think.
themselves.
Do you know what socialism is? It sounds like you maybe are confused on to what
I'm
socialism
sorry.
is.
Yes, I absolutely know what
What is it?
socialism is. Well, the actual definition is going to be state control of just about everything. That's not
socialism. Try again.
That is the actual definition.
It's not.
But okay, well, you can look it up in a minute. But in the United States, we basically use it to
It's that workers own the means of production. That's what socialism is.
Okay. Well,
So it has nothing to do with the state. Workers own the means of production, meaning that the harder you work, the more the harder you work, the more you're incentivized because you own the production, right?
okay.
Okay.
And so you think that people are going to work harder for a crumb than they would for, say, like Jeff Bezos?
Why would it be
like
a crumb? Do you think Jeff Bezos works hard right now? You think he's working
Jeff
pretty
Bezos
hard?
did work hard when
He did
started
work hard. Do you think
Amazon
he was the
in his-
hardest worker ever? Or do you think maybe the guy... You live in Texas. You've seen those people working out on oil rigs. Do you think Jeff Bezos worked harder than them?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I mean,
Right?
Manually, no.
No.
But
what Jeff Bezos basically just took investor money for a long time and was able to ride out 20 years of losses because he was shrewd. He was able to get people to continue to buy into his system. He just convinced a lot of people to keep investing until it worked. I don't know why he deserves billions of dollars and people who go to work every day and put their life on the line.
Well,
even
what
the
is it
people
about
on the oil
deserves?
rigs, those people work a hell of a lot harder than Jeff Bezos. Why aren't they billionaires?
I don't think deserves comes into it at all.
What?
He earned it. I mean, it's his money.
Well, but he only earned it based on the system we have,
Well,
right?
who
Don't you
should
think that?
decide
Don't
that
you
he
think the
deserves?
system? If you're a Republican, I hear this a lot. I know Republicans like merit-based systems, right?
Sure.
Okay, so what's the merit of Jeff Bezos? Why should
took the
he
risk.
be? Why should he be valued more than somebody who works on an oil rig?
He took the risk.
What risk?
The risk of starting a company, setting it up in his own house. If it goes belly up, he's going to be the one out.
No, he took investor money for most of it. It was
Okay,
mostly
well-
he was mostly using other people's money.
So
almost
you got Jeff
exclusively.
Bezos on one hand, and you got his secretary on the other, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos takes all the risk.
No, we're talking about an oil worker versus Jeff
Well, that's
Bezos.
what you're talking about. I can use
One
my own
person is
examples.
risking their life. One person is risking other
I don't
people's
have
money.
a problem with oil workers. Oil workers.
I didn't ask. I'm asking to compare. If we have a merit-based system, why is Jeff Bezos worth so much more than somebody who works on an oil rig?
He took the risk of starting a company. If an oil worker goes and starts their own oil rig, they may invest $100,000 getting that started, and it may go belly up. They may lose all that money. Now they're out $100,000.
Okay. Now, do you think that Jeff Bezos has bent the law and perverted the system in a way to gain the money that he has?
Yeah, I think that
Okay.
basically everyone at high levels in this country is bending and perverting the law.
Okay.
Which is
and
one
you don't
reason
see
I'm
a problem with
Republican.
that?
Well, both sides of this country are completely for sale.
No, don't both sides it. I just asked you, do you have a problem with that? I didn't ask you what side is fault. Like, do you have a problem with that?
This is a conversation, this is a dialogue, so you don't get to set the 100% of it. If you want to do
if
that,
I
you can
ask
kick me off.
questions, just answer the question.
Yeah, I'll answer your question, then you're going to answer
Do you have a
mine.
problem with that?
Do I have a problem with what? Rephrase your question.
The fact that Jeff Bezos was able to build his fortune off of the backs of essentially like cheap labor and breaking the law and rewriting the laws.
At which point that came in, I don't really know, but I don't really have much of a problem with the way that the system works out. I would like to see less government involvement in the system as to where you can't buy off the rules.
Okay,
Right? I
that's
don't want
exactly what
people
Jeff
to
Bezos did, though. That's how he became as rich as he is.
Well, do you think that that's all Republicans that enabled that, or do you think that's
Again, you're bringing
bipartisan?
Republicans and Democrats.
I'm asking you a question like you
I'm
asked me a
asking you about
question.
your views.
Yeah, and I just answered your question. Now you're going to answer
we're talking
mine.
about we're talking about your views. I'm asking
Right.
your opinion on things.
So both sides of the government enable that.
Why are we
sort
talking
of,
about both sides? I'm asking you your opinion on something. We're not talking about the government
already
right now.
answered
I'm
your
trying to
question.
figure out where you're at.
I answered your question.
Okay. So do you like monopoly laws? Are you a fan of do you think monopolies should exist, or do you think we should do things to protect ourselves from monopolies?
In most cases, monopolies are a very bad thing.
Okay. Do you think we should have laws against monopolies?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's 17 states currently suing Jeff Bezos for monopoly laws. Did you know that?
No, I don't. I mean, I certainly
17
don't know the
attorney
number.
generals.
I know there's things going on.
Yeah. And now, would you say that he was able to do that because of regulation or deregulation?
That he was able to do what?
To get the wealth, to acquire the wealth he had. Do you think that was due to massive regulation or deregulation?
I don't know every time this guy sent money to a senator or what he did.
That
or what
has
he bought.
nothing to do with any of what we're talking about. Do you think he got his wealth because of regulation or because of deregulation?
In some cases, both, I'm sure. When you make a regulation, you set a rule that can be manipulated. And when you're the person who's paying these senators to set the rules, and many times a regulation can be used to crush your competition, which is exactly how people like him get to the top. So it's both.
Correct. And deregulation of what? What would allow him, if you added regulations that allow him to cripple his competition, what deregulation would allow him to?
Yeah, deregulate things that helped his competition.
Exactly. So when we're talking about lowering taxes, when we're talking about estate tax, when we're talking about capital gains taxes, when we're talking about income taxes, when you're talking about the ability for billionaires to hide their wealth, I agree with you. I think it is both sides. I don't think it's Republicans or Democrats, but what I will say is it's all of the Republicans and it's some Democrats. It's not all the Democrats, but it is all of the Republicans. The Republicans do the bidding of the billionaires and they leave the middle class just fucked. It's been happening since the 1980s, since we introduced trickle-down economics. All we've seen for 40 straight years is the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Well, you sound kind of like an SEC football fan right now. Man, Auburn gets all the flags against them, and they don't ever throw them on Bama.
These are just statistics of what's actually happening.
You got statistics that show all Republicans are in lockstep with billionaires, and not all Democrats are?
Yes.
Okay.
What now, we're talking about trickle-down economics now, right? Are you a fan of trickle-down economics?
Furious, man. Oh, hell yeah, I'm a fan of trickle-down.
Okay, then why isn't it working?
Well, the main problem with it now is that it trickles down and out. So it trickles out to China is what happens now. Because you don't think that our economy in the bottom?
That's silly.
Okay, hold on.
The biggest transfer of wealth has went from during COVID went to the 1%, and that money just stays at the top. The rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting more poor. No, it's not trickling down. That's the problem. It's staying at the top.
When Elon Musk makes $300 million or whatever, you don't lose anything.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Here's what you don't understand. You don't seem to understand how our monetary system works. So the money that is in our system is meant to circulate, right?
Yes.
Yes, and if it stops circulating, if there's a jam and the money stops circulating, we have one of two options. We can either inject more money or we can force the money to circulate, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So when you have a transfer of wealth where all the money goes to the top and it stays at the top.
Yeah, that's not what happens.
It's 100% what happened.
No, that's not how that money gets there.
We had the largest transfer of wealth in our nation's history during COVID, and that money went to the 1%. So when that money stops circulating through the middle class, we have two options. We can either tax the rich or we can inject more money. Injecting more money is inflationary, right? We would love to tax the rich and bring that money back down or disincentivize them to hold on to that money, but we don't do that. And Republicans specifically don't do that. They don't want to tax the rich. They don't want to make it impossible for somebody to be like to be a multi-billionaire. They're okay with that because those are their donors and that's their ideology, trickle down economics.
Those but we've looked at more money to Democrats.
You're talking about individuals, you're not talking about the actual donors who write the legislation, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Even if they didn't take that money.
So only the second level even if they didn't
take that money. In 40 years of trickle down economics, the rich have gotten richer. the middle class has gotten smaller, and the poor have gotten poorer. Can you explain to me how that's working for the American
living
people?
40 years ago by saying that, oh, these rich Republicans, they're writing
Can you
all the
explain
laws,
how
they're
that's working
donating.
for the American people is what I asked.
Well, it's what are Democrats doing to stop it? It's only getting worse right now. It's only getting worse. It's the worst it's ever been.
Actually, it's not. It's actually
Real
not.
wages went up under Trump up until COVID.
Real wages are higher now than under Trump.
Yeah, inflation. Inflation's through the roof. Cost of living's through the roof.
Well, you just said wages.
Real wages is what I said.
Oh, real wages. They're not terribly off, but yeah, there is inflation. And do you think that that's COVID's fault or Biden's fault?
It's a mix.
How's it a mix?
Well, it's Biden has bad policies that.
What policies did he do that led to inflation?
Limits energy. He's anti-energy.
We're drilling more now than we ever did under Trump. So 0 for 1.
No, we're not. We have more need than we ever had.
We're drilling more than we did under Trump.
Need to
How can you say Biden is limiting if he's drilling more than Trump?
He didn't issue new leases. He's issuing only.
No, he didn't issue some leases on certain land, but he's actually issued more leases than Trump did. We are drilling more now than we ever have before.
We were energy independent under Trump. We had
we're the same amount of energy independent. Like we were never energy independent completely. We were always importing oil.
But we were exporting.
We've never been energy independent.
We were exporting as much as we were importing, so we were net independent.
We are just as independent now as we ever were, and we're drilling more. So that's silly. So can you show me what Biden did to cause inflation?
Biden, so why did energy prices go up under Biden then? Why did they?
There were a lot of reasons why energy prices went up.
Closed the pipeline like day one.
No, that's silly. That's silly. What was that pipeline doing?
I don't know. Why'd gas prices go up?
Well, I could explain it, but do you know what that pipeline was?
It was a pipeline from Canada to where was it? To Houston.
Yeah, and what was going to be pumped through that pipeline?
Was it shale oil from?
Sands oil.
Yeah.
What's that oil used for? Is that?
Well, they send it to Houston and refine it, and then they sell it off.
Do we use that
market?
Do we use that oil?
I don't know, but we can sell it and trade for other stuff.
No, it was Canadian oil, and they wanted it to get to the Gulf of Mexico so they could export it. It would be quicker for them to do it that way than to take the ships all the way around. It was not our oil. We were not selling it. It was Canadian oil to the Gulf of Mexico, and it was going to be shipped off essentially to be used for plastics. Had nothing to do with oil prices. But what did have to do with oil prices is that the entire world shut down for COVID, and then it reopened. And so gas prices were very, very low because you had low demand and high supply. And then it reversed almost immediately, basically switched on. And then at that same time, you had a war start in Ukraine. You had logistics all over the world, and you had oil companies who are going to literally charge the most amount that they possibly can. They will always charge the most amount that they possibly can.
For sure.
And when you have a whole world reopening, and you have countries where the country has been shut down, the oil companies know that these countries are going to pump money into the economy. They know they have to. They have no other choice. So the oil companies took advantage of that, and they knew that money was coming in, and they knew they could raise the prices of oil, so they did it. That's the problem sometimes with capitalism, is that capitalists will capitalize, and they care about one thing and one thing only, and it's money.
They didn't want money under Trump.
So blaming Democrats or even Republicans for any of the gas prices would be silly, because it happened worldwide.
Like I said,
worldwide the prices went up.
Having a terrible foreign policy definitely plays into it.
Yeah, sure it does. That's what it was. It was foreign policy.
You don't think foreign policy matters?
Explain to me the foreign policy problems that Biden has that caused oil prices
his foreign
to spike.
policy problems are infinite. I mean,
that's caused oil prices to spike.
Yeah, well, number one, the weakness in Afghanistan sent a message to Putin, who obviously...
Whose plan was that?
Huh?
Whose plan was that?
Who executed it?
I'm asking a question. Whose plan was it?
According to what I've heard about Trump, is he said he was going to take like another year to get out.
Well, that's a lie. His generals would disagree. Now, whose plan? That plan was hatched
who
under
did it?
Trump.
So who
now,
actually did it?
Do any of the generals? Have any of them come out and said we didn't do it the way Trump wanted us to?
Does Biden? So Biden makes a call.
That's not. That's
Biden
not
makes
an answer.
a call. So he's
that's
just doing
not
what
an
Trump
answer.
told him.
It's not
Is
an
that
answer.
why things are
no, I
shitty
said.
now? 'Cause
I
he
said.
just does what-
Have any of them said that the plan they executed
I don't
wasn't the
interview
same?
all the generals and that.
You didn't even let me finish the question, sir. Has anybody come out and said that we executed the plan differently than we had planned on?
That I don't have the answer to.
You
But-
don't. Yeah.
Okay.
So then how the fuck could you?
executed the plan?
Then how the fuck could you possibly
who
say?
executed the plan again?
Wait. So then how the fuck could
No,
you?
you already got
possibly,
your question. Now my mind.
How
Who
the fuck
executed the
could
plan?
you possibly have
Who
an opinion?
executed the plan?
I'm finishing. How the fuck could you possibly have an opinion if you don't know what the plan was from the start, and you don't know if we didn't? It's possible that Biden executed exactly like Trump wanted to.
Yeah.
You
and
don't know.
Yeah, that's totally. And if he did, and he messed it up, it's still his fault.
I'm not saying it's not his fault. I'm saying that saying that like Trump would have done it differently is silly. You don't know that.
I just said Biden fucked it up.
And how did that spike oil prices?
No, I'm saying a bad foreign policy.
No, but we were talking about oil prices.
I'm answering you,
the
dude.
question I answered. The question I asked was.
And then say, don't
yes, I
cut me
can.
off.
I absolutely can because the question I asked
you can kick me off
was.
If you're a bitch, you can
the
kick
question
me off.
I asked was, how did his foreign policy spike oil prices?
Yeah, and
so
I
if you're going to cite,
you,
so if you're going to cite foreign policy, it needs to be things that spiked oil prices.
Yeah.
It needs to be things that spiked oil prices,
Yeah.
right?
Are you going to let me answer?
Yes. What foreign policy spiked oil prices?
So when you pull out of Afghanistan and you do it in a way that looks very weak, you just leave all kinds of equipment there. People around the world, they saw that, they notice it. That's why we've got generals telling us that we could have.
And therefore raised oil prices?
Are you going to listen or are you going to talk?
No, I'm not. I'm asking you again another question because it doesn't seem like
explaining a very complex.
Get to the point of how this spiked oil prices, please.
Well, it led to wars. It led to an invasion.
So, are you saying that what happened in Afghanistan led to the invasion of Russia invading Ukraine?
Partly, absolutely.
Okay. Cool. How did that lead to that invasion?
When you display weakness to the rest of the world, the rest of the world notices that, and they act. How many times it happened in history? Are you familiar with appeasement and where that got us in World War II? Have you ever heard about that?
So Russia then invaded Ukraine because they saw the Afghanistan pull out, and then they thought, now we're going to invade Ukraine. Got it. Okay, got it. And therefore that spiked oil prices.
Well, you're the one that said the war spiked oil prices. So
I'm just making sure. Making sure that you have you're now saying that Biden following Trump's plan. You don't know if he followed Trump's plan or not, so you don't know if Trump would have showed the same weakness or not.
Biden's
but that plan,
foreign policy,
but that plan.
Obama.
Wait, I'm just recapping here. The plan to pull out of Afghanistan is why we saw worldwide oil price spikes. Is that correct?
It's part of the reason.
And you can substantiate that how?
I already told you, when you show weakness.
When you show
just
weakness.
like appeasers in World War II.
Yeah,
which
sure.
led to more war. Do you dispute history now?
No, I just.
I don't think that. So you don't think that anyone else notices what the United States does and then makes moves based?
Is that even? That is absolutely not even close to what I said.
Okay, so you laughed that it could potentially be a thing.
Yeah, I laughed that you said that the Afghanistan withdrawal is what raised oil prices.
No,
That's what I laughed
partly.
at.
I said it could partly.
Could partly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Because so what we need to do as America. So is this your stance that we have to have somebody like Trump who talks a big game in order to and if Trump was talking a big game, then nothing bad would ever happen.
Isn't Biden talking a big game right now?
Can you answer a fucking question without whataboutism or no? What's your plan here?
I'm sorry that I show you history.
I'm asking you a question. No, I asked you a question. Don't go back to appeasement now because that's not related. Are you saying, is this your argument that like if Trump was president, everybody would be too afraid to act? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. No. Why are you
okay, so then what are you saying?
I'm saying that Biden's weakness definitely could have opened the door for Russia to invade.
Could have, but you're not saying they did.
Well, obviously you can't know for sure.
Okay.
I'm not going to be an asshole and pretend like I know everything like some people.
You mean like the things that I know, like the statistics that I've given you?
Oh, you're just.
Are you upset now that I got some
like it
stats
couldn't have
right?
possibly. Oh, no way! Anyone saw weakness and then attacked.
It's
so
silly.
Ridiculous.
It's
That's
silly
never
that
happened in the Rhineland or the Sudan.
Here's why it's silly,
That's
Rooster.
never happened.
Here's why it's silly is because what I said which of his foreign policies led to the oil spike, and you've come back with something that you think possibly hypothetically could have spiked oil.
Well, at no time
do you understand how that's like it's a pretty soft it's a pretty soft argument, right? Can we at least agree that like the fact that you're saying it could have possibly that it's a pretty soft argument?
Well, anyone that tells you anything with much more certainty is probably full of shit, as it's such a complex problem that it's very difficult to know exactly what caused it. You can't just point your finger at one person and go,
I could.
This guy did the gas prices.
Could I give you an option or my opinion of who caused the problem?
Is it Jeff Bezos or Donald
No,
Trump?
Vladimir fucking Putin.
I mean, Putin's a bad dude, but we don't have any
Putin
control
invaded
over Putin.
Putin invaded Ukraine, and you want to blame Biden.
We don't.
You know why? You know why you guys want to do that? Because
I wouldn't vote
everything
for him.
about Republicans is just grievances. You guys don't actually you don't stand for anything.
Oh,
you just are anti-democrat. Okay, what do you stand for?
I could say the exact same thing to you.
No, you couldn't. What do you stand for?
What do I stand for?
Yeah,
Lower
what are your
smaller government, more freedom.
Okay, let's go one by one. Let's go one by one. Let's go lower taxes. If we lowered our taxes, what would happen to our national debt?
Normally nothing happens. Within a year or two, the revenue is either equal to or higher than it was before.
So when Trump lowered taxes, what happened to our national debt?
Oh, you're going to use COVID here?
No, you can use all the no. You can use the numbers. You can shush. You can shush. You can use the numbers.
You don't shush me. Shush. No, be respectful or I'll leave.
I don't care. What you can use the numbers previous to COVID. What was happening to our deficit spending under Trump?
Well, Trump spent too much.
Yeah, it was rising. Now, has deficit spending risen or lowered under Biden?
Or are you going to try and
lowered? Did it rise or lower under? Did it rise
risen on average?
Did it? No, deficit spending, not the national
risen
debt.
On average, you're trying to compare it to emergency spending from COVID.
He lowered deficit spending. So did Obama. He lowered deficit spending.
You're comparing Obama to TARP.
Rooster,
you have to compare Obama to TARP to say that.
Rooster, historically speaking, under Democrats, deficit spending goes down. Under Republicans, deficit spending goes up. Okay. And it's this simple. If you are going to spend more, you have to tax more. If you don't, deficit spent. Yes, it is, because that's how revenue works.
No, it's not. That's 100% not how revenue works.
Then why does deficit spending go up every time Republicans lower taxes?
They're spending too much.
Exactly. That's what I just said. Rooster, I just said
if taxes don't
I just said revenue if you're going to keep spending, if you keep spending and lower taxes, then deficit spending goes up.
No,
right?
If you keep spending, deficit spending goes up. If you increase,
that's what I said, dude.
But lowering taxes doesn't have anything to do with that, because lowering taxes raises revenue.
No, it doesn't.
Every major tax cut of the last 40 years, with the exception of the one that was hit by COVID, within 2 to 3 years, revenues were higher than they were.
No,
every major tax cut.
Wait, hold on, Rooster. This is some. I used to be a Republican. I worked in politics. This is a trick you fell for. You know, every time 2 to 3 years after, like if we take 2 to 3 years from now, revenues will be higher. If you take 3 years ago, revenues are higher now. If you look at 3 years before that, revenues just keep going up.
Well, that one isn't true, because COVID would have impacted that one.
Minus COVID. Just historically, revenues always go up. That's what happens.
Right. So if they're going to
they go up more if you increase taxes, which is why if you look at the history of our country, when was our middle class at its strongest?
I mean, I feel like in the 80s and 90s.
No, not even close. Like 50s, 60s. That's when our middle class was its most robust. That's when like virtually whatever job.
Before we move on, because you're moving on real fast.
Virtually whatever job. Oh no, this is related, and you'll understand.
So did the deficit go up more under Bush or Obama?
The deficit or the or the
just
debt?
Pick one.
The deficit or the debt?
The debt. We'll go with debt.
The debt went up more. Every president increases the debt more than the last.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not deficit spending, silly.
Well, it's the deficit also because you only get to the debt.
No, but I was talking
deficit.
about. But I was talking
you
about
only
deficit
get to
spending.
Debt through deficit.
I was talking about deficit spending, silly.
Okay. So
now look at your numbers.
How did he get more debt?
You can
how
Google
did he get
this.
more debt if he was so much better
does
with
deficit spending
spending
increase or decrease under Democrats?
Does deficit spending increase well? How is Obama getting more debt than Bush if he's not doing more deficit?
Because there was still deficit spending, but he was decreasing the rate of deficit spending.
But he got more debt in 8 years with a lower rate? That doesn't make sense, bud.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't know how math works.
Oh, really? I don't know how math works.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Do you not know this?
No,
is this news to you? Is this new? Like, dude, this isn't even something. This isn't even something you can look it up. Look it up. Just, I'll let you Google. Look it up. Who under Obama did deficit spending increase or decrease? And then look up Trump and look up Bush. You can look this shit up yourself, man.
No, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm telling you is you're telling me that Obama had less deficit spending than Trump.
No,
Bush,
I didn't say that.
Bush.
Do you want me to say it one more time? Would you like me to say it one more?
Spending went down under Democrat.
No,
that's what you said.
The rate of deficit spending went down. If you have deficit spending, then you're in a deficit. So you would still increase the rate. You would still increase the national debt, but the rate at which you're increasing it went down. You can't have deficit spending while also paying off the national debt. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a fucking deficit.
Right. So
yeah, you're in finance. You know that. So now let's explain. So the rate of deficits. So now the rate of deficit spending under Obama was lower than Bush. The rate of deficit spending under Obama was lower than Trump. The rate of deficit spending under Biden is lower than Trump. It is lowering. Under Trump, it was increasing. Why is that? Because spending increased it and revenues decreased. But when you raise taxes, spending increases and revenues increase. You still have a deficit, but the deficit increases at a lower rate. These are statistics that are universally true.
Bush's deficit spending was so far less than Obama's, with the exception of TARP in the final year, which was paid back. So you're trying to use, $500 billion worth of deficit spending under TARP, which was then paid back. So you're taking it from Bush and crediting it to Obama.
No. I'm not even talking about TARP by itself.
Because you don't understand it.
No, you don't understand it, dude. You haven't even seen the numbers. Do I need to pull up numbers? I'll pull them up and I'll read them to you.
Bush was averaging like 300 billion or something like that, and
what was the rate? What was the rate?
Tell me what the rate was.
Well, why don't you know? You seem to know. What was the rate? Because we're talking about. Are we talking about the total number, or are we talking about the rate right now? Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about the total number, or are we talking about the rate?
We're talking about both.
No, I've been talking about the rate the entire time, and I've said it like a million times. I'm not arguing the total number because the total number goes up every single president. Trump spent more than Obama if you're taking just like 4 years, right? If you're taking the last 4 years of Obama versus the first 4 years of Trump, Trump spent more. Obama spent more than Bush. Bush spent more than Clinton, right? It's just how it's been working. Ever since Clinton, he was the last time when we didn't have a deficit. Ever since then, every president has spent more than the last. Biden will spend more than Trump.
Right.
That doesn't change, but I'm talking about the rate of deficit spending.
Well, you're right in line with what I was saying. Is it goes up every time. I agree with that.
Yeah, but the rate that it goes up at a faster rate under Republicans.
I don't know. I'd have to look at that.
Okay.
But I know it went up at a faster rate under Obama than it did
Obama
under Bush.
took over in 2009. The deficit spending was at 9.2%. 2010, 8.8. 2011,
what was it in 2008?
Well, he wasn't the president in 2008.
I know. I want to know what it was in 2008.
I can pull that up in a second, but hold on. I'm just talking about his presidency. It went from 9.2 to 8.8, 8.4, 6.8, 4.1. Is that ascending or descending?
Well, you only gave like 5 years there. What did it do the rest of the way?
Well, I can pull that up, but I'm just looking at the
I'm
first
feeling
5
it
years.
was
Jesus
convenient,
fucking
man.
Christ, man. Can you answer questions or no? Is that increasing or decreasing?
That was decreasing.
Okay, Jesus, was that
TARP,
so hard?
From TARP, decreasing.
Was that from TARP?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
See, do you know what TARP was?
Yes, I do know what TARP was, but it still went down every year.
Right, because we started at TARP. TARP levels of spending.
Correct?
Yeah,
Why did we need TARP?
because the financial sector collapsed.
Why did the financial sector collapse?
According to Time Magazine, there was in the top 50 reasons, it was very bipartisan.
I didn't ask about
business.
the fucking parties, dude. Why did it collapse? Jesus Christ. Do you see everything through a partisan lens?
Well, we're talking politics, so
I'm talking, no, I said, why did it collapse?
a million different reasons, but the main reason is a lot of bad loans were made.
Is it a lot of bad loans? And why were those bad loans allowed to be made?
This is interesting that you would ask that because
Thank you.
I'm expert in this because I worked in that
easy.
field. So it was a multitude of reasons. One would be banks were overzealous to lend. One reason that they were is the government.
Would you also say
told them
wait, I'm asking a
to
question. Would you
lend.
also say underregulated?
In
What
some
happened?
cases,
What happened
yeah.
when the banks were taking these bonds to the rating agencies? Were the rating agencies properly regulated?
We definitely can have some more regulation in financial fields.
No,
and,
were they
we
properly
stepped it up.
regulated? We had AAA rated bonds that were full of B and B plus bullshit. You know
Right,
that.
because-
Like
yeah,
if this
'cause
is
we
if
had
this is
three
if this
levels
is
of-
you, like you had shit that was rated AAA bond and like 60% of it was like B,
Right.
B plus.
So the government tells the banks what they can lend and what's okay, and then the banks they make their decisions.
The question I asked was, were the rating
Was
agencies
who
properly
was
regulated?
responsible?
No,
for
I didn't
the-
ask
Yes!
that. I
Yes,
didn't.
you
I did not say who
You
was responsible.
literally did.
You're a fucking idiot. I said what happened. Why did it collapse? I said why did it collapse? I
Yeah.
didn't say who was responsible.
answering your
I said
question.
why did it collapse? And now I'm asking you, were the regulatory agencies properly regulated, or the ratings agencies, were they properly regulated, or were they allowed to rate things AAA that were absolute dog shit?
In some cases, there could have been better regulation for sure.
In some cases,
do
can
you
you
think
explain to
every
me how a
case?
bond? Can you explain to me how a bond filled with mortgages, a mortgage-backed security bond? Can you explain to me how a regulatory or the ratings agency can rate something AAA when 60 to even sometimes 70% of it was B and B plus? How can that be AAA? This is where you're the expert, right?
Were they ever AAA? Were there ever good
They were
bonds?
rated as AAA.
Okay, so
and
you know
when
what-
you
but
looked
were
at
some of them AAA?
when you looked at the underlying mortgages, many of them were like no FICO score, no income verification, second, third, fourth houses on people with no income. These ninja loans. They were B to B plus. They were
some
credit
of them
score. They were
AAA?
sub 600 credit scores, and
Were some of them
60%. Yes, but 60%.
Okay, do you know what in some cases
60,
mean?
but hold on, but 60% were B and B plus. So how do you rate a bond that's made up of 60% B and B plus as AAA?
Yeah, this is where in some cases comes in. Like I said, that which somehow made you mad, and now you're agreeing with it.
This is what I said the whole time.
We could have used better regulation in some cases. In some cases, no.
In some cases, no. What cases could we not have used better
The
regulation?
cases where they were properly rated.
Okay, so the ones where people weren't yet exactly.
Well,
so the
it's
ones,
not like it was 90% of the loans.
Regulation
were bad.
isn't meant to catch the people who are doing things the right way. But enough of these bonds had been rated by the ratings. And what did the rating agencies say, by the way, when they were confronted of this and they said, like, why aren't you rating these properly? What was their response?
I believe that they thought that they were rating them properly.
No,
They
their
just-
response was,
the
if we
third
don't
level-
rate them this, their response was, if we don't rate them this way, somebody else will.
Well, like I said, you could have had better regulation in some cases.
And where did that
but in not all.
deregulation come from? Who was pushing the deregulation on the banks?
I'll
I'll give you a hint. It's the same people who say small government.
Wasn't it Graham Leach Bliley, wasn't that part of it?
That was part of it. Who pushes for deregulation?
That was a bipartisan.
Who pushes
bill,
for
if I remember
deregulation
correctly.
on the banks generally? Which party?
It's more likely Republicans, but
It's more likely
depends.
Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Republicans played a part. I thought we weren't assigning parties a second
Well, now
ago.
we're there.
How weird that we're there now. That's weird
Yeah.
because when I tried to do it a minute ago. So
Well,
do you
because we
think
weren't there.
anything
We
else
weren't
was a
there yet. We
factor?
didn't get to the. We hadn't gotten to the root problem yet. But
Do you
now,
think-
now
do
we
you think
are.
Bill
Now we
Clinton
are at the root
played a
problem.
role, according to
And we
Time
talked about
magazine?
regulation, and you want more deregulation. But it seems like every time we have a
Sometimes I
major
do.
issue, it seems like every time we have a major issue, a financial issue in this problem or in this country, it's deregulation that's causing it. It's never regulation that causes it.
I don't believe that that's true.
Okay. You want to talk? You want to talk about 2008? Was that deregulation or regulation?
It was both. I mean,
It was not regulation. Show me one aspect. Show
No,
me
I'm
one.
saying it was-
Show
it
me
was-
one reason in 2008 that the
okay.
financial markets crashed because of regulation.
Well, I mean, because of oversight. I mean,
Just an
the
example would be
Democrats,
fine.
You know, everyone
Just-
needs
just
to own
one
a
example
house.
would be
That's the-
fine.
I'm literally talking.
Just,
Are you gonna
I
let
just
me
want
talk?
an example. I don't want like a loose explanation. Just an example.
Yes.
I gave you a very specific example about the mortgage-backed securities. That was
So
very
the Democrats
specific.
pushing for everyone to be a homeowner, that type of thing.
That's not a regulation. That's rhetoric.
I
What
told you,
regulation?
oversight.
What regulation caused the 2008 financial crisis?
I told you it was the oversight of it,
The oversight of what?
of the financial market. Again,
that's
so
not
banks
specific.
were
Oversight?
pushed to make loans that weren't good.
Banks were pushed to make loans that weren't good. We're
Yeah, what
talking-
do you think the minimum credit score required by the government to get an FHA loan is?
I don't know what it
do you
is.
think the
I don't know
minimum-
what it is currently. What is
Yeah,
it
it doesn't
currently?
exist. Does not
For
exist.
an FHA loan?
Yep. No, you can do 0 credit score. And you could back then. And that's a government insured loan. There is no minimum. You people saying 680?
It says 580.
Nope. You can get a manual underwrite.
I'm on I'm on FHA.com. It says
You get a
580.
manual underwrite down to 0. And you could back then too.
Oh, sure, with a manual over. So there's still a rule, but you can have yeah. That's again, that's a lack of regulation.
No, those
That is deregulation. You're setting a regulation and you're allowing somebody to manually override it. That is a lack of regulation. That is deregulation.
So the
you're saying
government
here's our
setting the
line.
rule?
It's at 580, and we're going to not keep that line at 580 or whatever it was at the time. You're going to say like we are going to allow manual overrides. That is deregulation, dude.
No,
do you think?
the government put that in that you could override it?
I understand that,
government
but
allowed for
I
that.
asked you for an example of how regulation caused this. That's
are laws.
deregulation.
These are laws put in
I didn't.
place.
Of course, there are laws. You potato. I asked you for an
Do
example.
not be disrespectful,
I will
dude.
say whatever
I've
I
been
want.
nice
I
to
asked
you.
you for a reason.
nice to
I
you.
asked you
You're gonna
for
be a
an
dick?
example
Fuck
of when
off.
regulation caused of any regulation that caused 2008,
Yeah, so-
and you just gave me an example of deregulation.
So they passed
So
the
try
law,
again.
and you're saying that's deregulation. Passing
Yes.
these okay. So
You can pass laws that deregulate, dude.
those were
Fuck are you
that's not
talking about?
deregulating, adding rules for underwriters that they now can approve.
That's not a
based
rule.
on
It's a
your-
loophole.
No, it's not a loophole.
Yes, it is. It's
was
a
the
manual
rule.
override.
It was the rule. That's not. You don't understand it.
I
No,
do
it's-
understand it.
It says
there's
in
a
the
580
guidelines.
credit score. Okay, there's a 580 minimum, right?
You don't know.
And if you want to get around the 580 minimum, how do you do it?
So it says in your guidelines as an underwriter, anything under 620, turn the motherfucker down. Then you get
If you
new
have a
guidelines.
bare minimum of
Then you
580,
get new guidelines from the
if
government
there's a
that say
580
there's no
minimum,
minimum anymore.
if there's a 580 minimum, yes, some would call that deregulation, Rooster.
It wasn't a regulation. It was the
You have a
bank's own
regulation.
rules.
You have a regulation at 580, and then you take away that regulation.
That
With a
wasn't
loophole.
regulation.
Deregulation. It's a loophole.
No, that's not what happened. The
Oh my
government
God,
came
dude.
in
You
and
are so bad
incentivized-
faith. You are so bad faith because you
sorry
don't
you
want to
don't
lose an
understand
argument
this at
right
all.
now. You literally
sorry
said regulation caused the 2008 financial crisis.
No, I
I asked you
didn't.
for an example, and you're now saying that adding a manual override is regulation.
I didn't say
That is silly,
regulation
dude. That's
caused
so
it.
silly.
I didn't say regulation caused it. I said
Yes, you did.
the
You
oversight.
said it was both. You said it was
said
deregulation and regulation. And I said, okay, give me an example of how regulation caused the 2008 financial crisis. And you said,
I said it
okay,
was the
and then you gave me an
oversight of the
example of
loans.
deregulation.
You're regulating the mortgage industry. That's how they regulated the mortgage industry. They said, go in there, and they said, hey, 580 or below? No problem.
Deregulation.
Go for it.
Deregulation, exactly.
That's making a rule that says that you can go as low as you want in credit scores.
Yes,
not
it is
deregulation.
That's literally, like, definitionally deregulation. You're taking a regulation, a bare minimum, and you're saying, fuck it, get rid of it. That's
wasn't
by definition deregulation. What, dude? This is silly. You are a smart guy. You are a smart guy, but now what you're doing is you're being intellectually dishonest because you don't want to lose. This is every person in here knows that what we're talking about right now is deregulation, and you're too proud to admit that you were just wrong about a simple thing, which is fine. We've all been wrong before, but now is a good time to be like, yeah, it wasn't regulation that caused the problem.
I already said it like 5 times. I said it was oversight, and you just
said,
go back to you said.
Okay, so would you like to amend when you said it was regulation and deregulation? Would you like to amend that by saying it was lack of oversight?
I instantly said, well, here's what happened is the oversight of this, and I start to explain it, and then now you're trying to say that's deregulation. It's not deregulation because they were pushing the banks to make those loans.
So it was lack of oversight.
They wanted the 580. They wanted below 580 loans to happen.
Who do you think wrote that legislation? I don't know. Who would you guess?
Who would
you know
I
how
guess?
This works. You're a smart guy.
I would guess Democrats for sure.
No. Who do you think really wrote it?
No, it's Democrats that want loans for people that are under 580.
This isn't the answer. Who do you think really wrote it? I'll give you a clue. It's not Democrats. It's not Republicans. Who do you think wrote that?
Is Jamie Dimon wrote it at Chase Bank?
Bankers, 100%.
Well, the banks already had the freedom to make that loan if they want.
I understand that, but who do you think wrote
how does that benefit them?
Because then you have the government backing these loans, right?
Yeah, no, you can do that. But
they wanted the
wanted that.
They wanted the backing of the loans. It makes the loan more secure. It takes risk off of their plate, right?
The government backs the loans,
they wrote it in. They lined the pockets of the people in Congress. They deregulated their own industry because they thought they knew better than everybody else. They thought we would never have default rates that reached above 4%, and they did, and they fucked us. And then we bailed them out.
Well, we should
and then as soon as this happened, like almost immediately, Republicans started introducing the same type of legislation, the same type of shit, the same type of deregulation, almost immediately. The banks came right back to them like, thanks for the bailout. Let's reintroduce this same type of shit.
Well, the Republicans weren't in charge at all.
I didn't say they were in charge. I said they started introducing legislation.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the legislation that really caused problems came in under Clinton, who I like. I like Clinton. But he was one of the big causes for the
who controlled the House and the Senate at the time when that legislation was pushed through.
Portion of it, I don't know exactly that time.
Republicans controlled the House and the Senate.
You know exactly what year that regulation was passed and who was in charge?
I don't know exactly what year it was, but I've looked this up before. I've looked this up. Clearly, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I just explained to you the rating agencies. I just explained to you mortgage-backed securities. Clearly, I know what I'm talking about. Clearly, I've researched this stuff.
You just made up that last.
Do you want me to pull it up? I can pull it back up for you.
Yeah, find out what year it was that they passed that, and who was in charge. Because Republicans were only in charge of House and Senate for what, 2 years under Clinton, the full control. I'm going from memory. I don't got Google sitting next to me like you.
Well, get a computer, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, it's on my cell phone. You got mad when I tabbed out to look something up.
No, I didn't get mad. I didn't.
So I'm going 100. I'm going 100% from my brain.
I'm trying to find the years here. I don't even know how to find these years. Do you remember the name of the act, by the way?
Some sort of Fair Housing Act. I can't remember the name of it, but maybe Home Affordable or something like that. I don't even remember the name.
Let me see if my mod has it. Do you have it? Whisper, do you have it? Let's see.
Someone just said it's the Telecommunications Act. That doesn't sound right to me, but maybe.
Faircloth, he said. Let's see. Fair Cloth Amendment, public housing. Could be. No, that's 37. It would have been a reauthorization. I'd have to 99. Let's see.
Well, Clinton wasn't president, well, only for 1 month of 1999.
Yeah, Republican control. Gore, Senate president, controlled the House and Senate. Why don't I have 99?
Well, Clinton was only, I mean, it wasn't even a Clinton thing if that's when it was. So Clinton was only president in January of 99 for half the month.
Well, then it wasn't under Clinton if that's the one. I don't think this is the one I was looking up. I don't think Fair Cloth. Anyways, I'd have to find it.
It wasn't that important, but
I'm pretty sure I looked it up and it was when you had Republican control of the House. But either way, we're still talking about deregulation, right? Mm-hmm. Can we just at least agree deregulation caused this?
Yeah, in a portion. But I mean, like I said, even Time Magazine, if you read it, they're going to list hundreds of things that contributed to it. They're not then. Deregulation wasn't number one, I don't believe. I'm trying to remember what Time Magazine said, but they had blood on everyone's hand.
Yeah, but
Time Magazine, it's not a Republican rag.
You can say like what caused it, but at the end of the day, it was the collapse of the mortgage-backed securities funds. Like that's what ultimately caused the problem. There's a million reasons why we got there that like led to the point where people were defaulting on their home loans. But if we didn't have those home loans in place, if we didn't have those security bonds in place, we would not have had the financial collapse. So even though there's a million other things that led us, to the point, the fact that we did not regulate that industry, the fact that we allowed our economy to be propped up on something that was not sound was because of deregulation.
Well, everything that played a part in the 2008 collapse added to the magnitude. So if deregulation, if you think that was your main thing, that caused it, that added to the magnitude. But everything played a part. So,
but it doesn't collapse without that.
Well, you don't know that at all. Like
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
You don't have to. No, because we've had those kind of collapses before.
No, we haven't.
Well, sure. No,
we did not have it. We did not have a deregulation. No, we didn't. We did not have these rating agencies allowed to just go through and rate.
I didn't say an exact twin, but I'm saying you can still have a housing market collapse without this deregulation.
Right, but the collapse was caused by because so much of our economy was wrapped up in these bonds.
Well, you can't say that it wouldn't have happened.
In
2010.
Because what used to happen is you used to have these mortgage bonds, and they gave you like predictable, slow returns. They were sound. They were all AAA rated. They were full of AAA rated mortgages. Mm-hmm. When they started making these, I forget what they're even called. When you allowed, now I can't even remember what they're called. But when you allowed like,
are you talking about CDOs?
CDOs, yeah. I'm talking plus the CDOs, right? But
collateralized debt obligations.
Yes, you have the CDOs, but then you have synthetic CDOs. So now you're like the amount of bets that you were essentially allowed to make on a simple mortgage bond that was rated AAA, that was nowhere near AAA. Then you have CDOs and you have synthetic CDOs. And essentially our entire economy was propped up on these shitty bonds. And these shitty bonds were allowed to exist because of deregulation.
Yeah, no, I understand that the bonds were a big problem. And obviously, CDOs, things like that, they really helped enhance the collapse. And they may have caused it. I mean, they're one of the causes for sure. But you can't say, hey, there wouldn't have been a collapse, and maybe it would have happened 6 months later, and maybe it would have been half as bad. I mean, I don't know, but
it's like say you made a dam out of like mud and sticks, right? You make this dam out of mud and sticks, and you're like, the water can only get to this high. If it gets higher, if we put more water, it's going to add too much pressure to this dam, and the dam will break. And then when the dam breaks, you're like, oh well, we released this water, like there was a rainstorm, maybe it had been eroded away a little bit, but at the end of the day, the dam that we put in place didn't work, right? That's the point. We had a stopgap. So no matter what happened, we would not lose our entire economy. And we said, fuck it, like let's base our entire economy on this because housing will never collapse. That's never going to happen. And then it did. They ignored math, they ignored regulation, and it was heavily pushed by capitalists who just wanted to make more money. This is all fake money. It's not even real. This was gambling on shitty bonds that we allowed, and we still allow that. That's the problem with capitalism in general, especially unchecked capitalism, the way Republicans want it. They don't want to regulate capitalism. They think that capitalism by itself will just operate in a free market. We don't need to do anything about it. And this is what happens. This is why I'm not a Republican anymore.
Well, I think this is what happens when you have the crony capitalism where you can buy off your senator and you know, you're Jeff Bezos, you make so much money. Like I said, you can make the regulations what you want. Essentially, if you're Jeff Bezos.
Why did you vote for a guy that was literally like admitted that that's what he did?
Well, because I believe that Republicans in general are going to give me a smaller government, and that's less chance for them to screw me over. The main reason I can never vote for a Democrat, I'll just answer this real quick if you'll allow me 10 seconds, is I believe that Democrats are for open borders, regardless of what you. All right, who don't want who do Democrats not want to?
Nobody's even like, this is what's silly. No Democrat has advocated for open borders.
You
might not like the border policies, but can you just be honest and just be like, I think their border policies are not as good. You got the hyperbolic language of the right. It's so propagandized. We don't have an open border. We have a problem at our border. It's not fucking open. You live on a border state. I live on a border state. And I live a lot closer to the border than you do. If I drive down to the border right now, there is a large fence. There are people monitoring. There is border patrol fucking everywhere. There is no open border. We don't believe in open borders. Joe Biden doesn't believe in open borders. Why do you guys speak in such hyperbolic, propagandized ways?
Well, who do y'all believe in keeping out?
Well, is it an open border or not? Can we get there? Can you admit it's not an open border?
Who do you?
Can you admit it's not an open border, and then I'll answer your questions.
If anyone that wants to get in can get in, then it's an open border.
That's silly. Okay, that's not how it works. Not anybody who wants to get in can get in.
Who can't get in? I mean, some felons, I guess, get turned away, but who can't get in, and who don't you want to get in?
I think we need more people, but it's silly. Like,
okay, so how are you not for open borders?
If you don't have proper documentation and you come across a port of entry, you cannot get in.
People do it all the time.
How?
How are they getting in?
No, you tell me how. You just said people come across ports of entry without documentation and they get across. How do they do that?
Not ports of entry. They just come in through the gaps.
Okay, so again, we don't have open borders.
Well, did
Biden tear down some fencing?
Well, he did some, yeah.
He tore it down?
Yeah, they actually. So Texas put up razor wire, and they sent the feds down here and cut it.
Yeah, because you weren't allowed to do that. Yeah, sorry about that. You're not allowed to just like put up razor wire. It's not how that works. Did Biden tear down anything that Trump did?
That I don't know. I thought he did.
No, the answer is no. Has he actually made improvements to the wall since Trump left?
Well, he has recently.
He has, yeah. Did he continue the funding to continue to all the stuff Trump took credit for when he said he built the wall? Like, did he continue funding, like repairing the wall?
I don't know anything. Like, I'm in the walls don't work camp. Like, I really don't.
I agree. I agree with that. But, I agree with that. Walls don't work.
I think you have to de-incentivize people coming here.
It's silly to say that we have open borders. It's frankly stupid and it's propaganda.
You really can't tell me who you'll keep out, like who you don't want to come in the country, and I don't understand how that's not open.
What do you
mean?
Who I don't want to come in the country?
Like you really, I get you don't like the label open borders, but.
Well, it's stupid because it's not accurate. It's your guys' way of not having to address what the real problems are.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to discuss it with you, but I'm
saying it's a dumb way to say it.
I'll phrase it a different way. But what term would you like to use for unfettered immigration? Because
we don't have unfettered immigration. We have essentially the border policies now are almost identical to when Trump was in office. There's very few changes, with the exception of like how we treat people, like we might treat them more humanely, and the ending of Title 42, which by the way saved my state and saved your state, saved your state from having to bail out farmers everywhere. Ending Title 42 was massive. It was great. Outside of that, things have largely remained the same. But Republicans don't run on anything. You guys actually don't have anything that you're running on. You're just running on Biden bad. And so you're saying dumb shit like open borders, ignoring the fact that before COVID, we had a massive increase in migrants reaching our southern border. And if you got rid of COVID, if you took that out, if you took out the big drop in COVID when there were no jobs available, and you just cut that out and you made the graph would just kind of look like this. It looks like this now, but if you took out COVID, the graph would just keep going up. It was already massively increasing under Trump. And it would have continued to increase under Trump. The problem we have is that to the south of us, there are a lot of places that are destabilized. And in America, there's an opportunity. And in America, we desperately need workers. We have a lot of people who need workers, and we have a lot of people who lure workers here by paying them under the table. We have a problem, but the problem is not the border. The problem is that there's a lot of instability south of us, and there's a lot of work here that we need people for. So the solution is, like, how do we address that in the best possible way? Almost nothing has changed between Biden and Trump. This absolutely would have happened under Trump too. The only difference is Trump might have shut it down. He might have said close the border, send everybody back, and then the farmers would have been fucked. It would have been. I honestly think it would have been worse. But if you look at the graphs of what was happening with immigration pre-Biden and pre-COVID, you'll see it was massively on the rise.
Well, I'll take a look at it later, but what I looked at when we were talking earlier, it kind of looked like it had a little hump during Trump, and then it kind of went back down. Then towards the end, it started to go up and has continued to go up.
I'd say from 60,000 to 130,000, more than doubling, is not a little hump. And then COVID happened and it dropped. And again, if you find that graph and you cut out the COVID part and just connect where the graph is, it's just going to keep going up on a pretty regular trend.
I think I agree with you that Trump would have, put the National Guard down there or whatever and shut it down.
That would have hurt us. Your state, my state, New Mexico, California, our farmers would have been decimated.
So we were getting by on 60,000 workers, but we couldn't get by on that now.
If you look at the prices of lettuce, look at what happened to the prices of lettuce. 90% of lettuce in this country comes from Arizona, from Yuma County. During Title 42, before Title 42 was rescinded, the lettuce farmers didn't have enough people to pick the lettuce. Lettuce prices skyrocketed because 90% of it comes from here, and almost all of it is dependent on migrant labor, and we didn't have migrant labor. Some of the inflation we had.
Where were all these people that were coming in? Where'd they go?
They couldn't come in. They were sent back during COVID under Title 42, and it hadn't been rescinded yet. Biden was late. Biden fucked that up. He should have rescinded Title 42 much quicker than he did.
40,000 people coming in or whatever. There's still a lot of people coming in.
I mean, we got 9 million jobs sitting vacant.
Yeah, I don't know what percentage of them are lettuce picking, man. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not saying no, but I'm saying, but a lot of those jobs are also in hospitality. One of the toughest places for us to get workers right now is in hospitality.
Yeah. No, I
we depend. Our economy is propped up on migrant workers and illegal immigration. Our economy doesn't work without illegal immigration, frankly.
I believe both sides know that at their core, but neither side is honest with us about that.
I think Democrats are far more honest about that than Republicans.
Well, I think the honest truth is that we need to continue to increase our population to ever be able to afford the future of this country, and no one mentions that when they talk about the border. And I think that's
what's wrong with more people from the South being in our country?
On its face, nothing. Yeah, it's just Republicans just want it to happen legally. We just want it to happen the right way.
I don't think that that's true.
Okay, well, that's how I feel.
Because if Republicans believe that, so I believe Republicans used to believe that. I believe Ronald Reagan believed that, which is why he wanted amnesty.
Well, which is why amnesty. If you look, he felt betrayed by that.
And what about Bush? Bush wanted a path to citizenship. Bush said we need more legal immigration.
Bush is a very compassionate man. I mean, I'm sure he's more compassionate than me, for sure.
What happened with Trump, and you'll disagree with this strongly, but I absolutely believe it. In working for the Republican Party for years and watching the leadership change when Trump came in, the white nationalists got a much bigger voice when Trump came in. Whether he meant to do that or not, they got a much bigger voice. You have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are like stalwarts of the GOP now. That is a white nationalist. You have Stephen Miller, white nationalist, working one-on-one with Trump. You have Trump meeting with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. Like, obviously Kanye West not a white nationalist, but certainly anti-Semitic. Nick Fuentes, the most prominent white nationalist in our country. The white nationalists have a big voice, and the white nationalists say that it's the replacement stuff. The same kind of shit that you hear on Tucker Carlson every night. The replacement theory. The same shit that you said earlier, like Democrat voters. This is all propaganda meant to scare you. It's meant to say like that we're bringing in people. We're bringing in people to vote, not because we're compassionate, not because we need jobs, not because we like legal immigration, but because we want to beat you in elections. Bad news though, we don't need them to beat you in elections. That's already happening. Republicans are getting less and less popular by the day.
Well, I wouldn't continue. I wouldn't count on that continuing, as things have a way to switch back in this country. And every time someone wins, they think they're going to keep winning, and it doesn't go that route.
The difference here is that Republicans have failed to recognize where they are screwing up, because you guys are beholden to Donald Trump. Historically speaking, when somebody lost and got their ass kicked repeatedly, as Trump has, the Republicans would have abandoned them. But Trump has
Trump has one more shot.
Trump got his ass kicked in 2020. He got his ass kicked in 2022. When an endorsement for Trump in many places is a L. There are Republicans that could win, and if Trump endorses them, it can be a problem. Trump is your problem. You guys have become white nationalists. You've become too conservative.
We're
the
not
attacks on trans people,
nationalists.
there's a lot of white nationalists in power in your party right now. The attacks on trans people, the attacks on women's rights, the attacks on women's rights are very unpopular. Everything your party is doubling down on is very, very unpopular, because you're beholden to Trump.
Well, I'm not for the whatever attacks on women's rights, as you put it. I'm pro-choice, but
what is your party?
Well, yeah, hey man, you got to prioritize what you feel is important, and that's just not my most important issue. If it
I know,
was,
but
I'd be a Democrat.
But the people that are running, they're making that their priority. They're not even representing you.
Well,
they're representing views that are going to cause you to lose.
In some cases, yeah. I mean, I think that one of the reasons that Trump lost in 2020 was was abortion. I think that's always an issue that brings out the female voters. So, by the way, this guy really made me laugh in the chat. Snark Attack. He said everyone's more compassionate than me, like 50 times. So I appreciated that, but not true. Maybe now he knows I'm pro-choice. Maybe he'll come around on me a little bit.
That's the thing. Like, if Republicans were more like that, if Republicans, and this has been, if you were here at the beginning, this is what I think happens. I think they get their ass kicked in 2024, probably get their ass kicked in 2026, and then they shift left. The Republicans have to shift left to move, and you have to embrace universal health care. You have to embrace taxing rich people, and you have to embrace like this pro-choice stance. You got to do all three of those things.
It's been a trend, and I would definitely think that pro-choice is something that would come. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I talk to more Republicans than you, but most of them seem to be really flimsy on pro-life right now, and some even go as far as me to be pro-choice, but. Not the majority. There's religion still plays a big part of it, but that seems to be an ever decreasing part, even in the Republican Party. And I know people like to think that the Republican Party is completely controlled by that. I don't think that it is. I do think that the Republican Party is beholden to the religious right on abortion, but not in every area. But I'm very moderate on social stuff. I'm very fiscally right-winger. I just believe that, they're both going to screw up both ways, but, capitalism would generate a better result most of the time. I know you don't feel that way, but
I'm not anti-capitalism. I think that what Republicans generally don't understand is that capitalism, especially with an economy this size, demands massive regulation. You cannot let it go unchecked. And that regulation needs to be on the rich, not the middle class. You can deregulate on the middle class, but everybody in the room that's writing the laws are the rich people. And that's why you've seen places like Amazon, Walmart, they take over local economies. They suck the economies dry. They hoard all the money at the top. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, you got a real rise out of what I said earlier. And I mean, I still think it's true, but I feel that, trickle down is trickling out. And like you said, you didn't like that I said China. I'm not someone going China. I'm just saying China basically is Walmart to me because they make everything that's there. So what happens is when the money gets to the bottom, the poor people spend it at Walmart, and then we've lose a lot of our wealth to China.
Yeah, but what if Walmart didn't exist?
That would be bad for those people because they wouldn't be able to get the goods that they need, I think.
It'd be great for us. Every mom and pop grocery store could order their stuff from China. People could make money off of this. It wouldn't just be all going to the Waltons. I've had you for an hour. I do need to get to some other people. I don't mean to cut you off. I appreciate it.
Man. I appreciate you.
Come back anytime, Rooster.
Same to you, bud.
All right, brother. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, that went a little long. I apologize. Dame twice, though. Just opposition in the box, please. I got an hour left? It's probably right.
How's it going?
What's up, Dame?
I'm outside, just to let you know.
I can hear that.
Sorry, I'm walking to work.
What's up?
You might want to put somebody else on.
I'll do that. I can't have that. If you get somewhere without the horn, let me know. If anybody has, again, in the box, just doing opposition right now. All right, so not there. I appreciate some of you who are honest in your profiles, so I know who to. Cash at me outside. I think we've talked before. I don't know where you're at. I'm going to give everybody in the box like 2 seconds or 10 seconds to pop out if it's not opposition. I realized there was probably a lot to respond to with that last guy, and I apologize. I love all of you equally. Cash at me outside. How about that? Did Charles finally leave? I didn't see. I wasn't reading the comments. Did Charles finally go? All right, cash at me outside. No go. Lime putty. Please tell me I didn't clear the box for no reason. Lime. Welcome. Hello. Lime putty. Hi. How are you? Maybe they fell asleep. All right. Tell me I cleared the box for that. Tell me I cleared the box for that. Now the box is cleared. Son of a bitch. From DC. Oh, that wasn't a question to me. Cat doesn't have much to say. Cats sometimes don't have a lot to say. That happens from time to time. Henry, welcome. Hey, Henry. Bye, Henry. What have Democrats done for you? The question is, what have Republicans done for you? We can talk about Democrats another time, but generally speaking, that just means you don't have an answer to that, but you can come up. Wait, so what did happen to, what the fuck? What are you sending me? What did happen to Charles? Did he go bye-bye? Oh no, get your W's ready. The number 37 ranked debater on TikTok. Welcome.
Top tier, of course.
I heard you had
That was a good debate.
I heard you had a rough one yesterday in your chat.
Oh, that was hilarious.
I heard my friends hijacked your chat.
Oh my god, you guys, yeah, they were fucking spamming WRTD. I'm like, dude, he's not even like in the chat. He's not anywhere.
That's the great thing about me. I don't even have to be there to beat you. I don't have to say anything. I still get you.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, what's up, dude?
I think they are. You're all out of spam W's from that one, buddy.
Yeah, these W keys are probably getting pretty worn out.
Guys, you heard it here. RTP goes in undercover to spam the W's in my live.
Full disclosure, I got like a bunch of messages. I was with my daughter, and Whisper kept saying, like, go in there and debate. I was like, I can't go in right now. Like, my daughter was crying. She's been sick. So I jumped in just for a second, and I died laughing. Made me laugh.
I thought it was kind of cute myself.
I did hear a rumor that on your live you said that quote, this was in quote, that Bad Views speaks for you. Is that the case now? Is Bad Views speaking for you?
Oh, I think I was letting him be. Oh yeah, I had to go. I had to do some stuff, so he was just moderating.
This is quite a team you've got. You've got you, Bad Views, and Snuggles. Now, Bad Views has some wild takes. You've got some wild takes. Snuggles has no takes. Snuggles is actually just like a real-life troll. It's quite a team you've assembled. Snuggles doesn't say anything. You know that, right?
We're the three musketeers. Snuggles doesn't say. Yeah, he's got his. He does his thing, you know. I respect it.
Yeah, sure. So what's on your mind today?
Oh man, I listened to that whole debate, dude. That was awesome. I like that guy. Fuck, I forgot to follow him though.
Sorry about that, buddy. Maybe he's still here and he can follow you.
Yeah, that guy was. I like his voice too. He sounded like Homer Simpson, kind of.
That's going to go well for Republicans. Anybody who sounds like Homer Simpson, Republicans are just automatically going to believe. Republicans like to believe like the dumbest. What do you think about that? Why do you got so many dummies at the top of the Republican Party? Do you want to start? Can we talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Wait, did Jim Jordan win the freaking vote yet?
He didn't before. Yeah, let's talk about Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
As a Republican, how can you feel good about your party nominating Jim Jordan? 20 votes against him now, it looks like.
Against him? He had won 200 last time.
It says that there's 20 votes against him.
Oh.
So he has 200, yeah.
Dude, they just need to fucking... I don't care, man, because they just need to come together and start passing some bills or impeach Biden or do something.
Why don't you guys put somebody up who's actually passed a bill before and isn't and didn't look the other way at a bunch of sexual assault? 16 years in Congress. He's never passed a bill. He also, as a coach at Ohio State, looked the other way as the team doctor was sexually assaulting the athletes, and that's the best your party can bring up.
Well, hang on. So, I heard about that, but that's kind of weird. So you're saying he's basically you're making the claim he's complicit for minors being abused?
Not minors. These were college athletes.
Oh, okay, college. Yeah, okay. I mean,
and these accusations came around a long time before he was running as to be House Speaker. The captain of the wrestling team said that Jim Jordan called him, begging him not to go public with these allegations. I think there's 8 athletes that have said that they told Jim Jordan what was happening.
Oh, okay. And what did Jim Jordan say about
it? He said that he just denies it. He says that didn't happen. Here's what we have. This is from D. Sabato, who was the captain. He's absolutely lying if he says he doesn't know what was going on, saying that Jordan told him when they came to Jordan, Jordan said, "Please leave me out of it." For God's sake, Strauss's locker, which is the guy accused, was right next to Jordan's, and Jordan's even said he'd unalive him if he tried anything. So Jordan knew that he was doing stuff and said if he tried it with Jim Jordan, he would unalive him. The athletes say he knew of the abuse and just didn't report it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not a good look. But at the end of the day, like I'd rather that they come together so we can start, moving forward. Because
the question is, why is this the best your party has to offer? Why is this better than Kevin McCarthy?
Well, he's in the right place, right time, and right uniform. No, look, he's not. Well, he's. That's a good question. I mean, I don't think he is, but I would rather just kept McCarthy. But I mean, why would they? The reason they ousted him is because he didn't keep his promise. So it's like, they got to have someone that will. Like,
and he was ousted by another person credibly accused of sexual assault, right? Or not sexual assault, I guess. Trafficking underage girls.
Yeah. Right. Allegedly, right?
Well, he's credibly accused, right? I believe he married the girl, one of the people that would have been the accuser, so she can't testify against him.
What?
Like how many more? Yeah. Like how many awful people do you guys have to have in your party? Could you get rid of them?
Well, I mean, look, when you guys run smear campaigns on Republicans, like, I'm not just gonna believe it. I'm not saying this about Jim Jordan, but the one about Matt Gaetz, I don't know about that one, man. It just seems like,
well, why is Matt Gaetz? So let me explain just the Matt Gaetz thing. We have a trail of money going to underage girls. We have that money going. It's from Matt Gates' friend to these girls, and then we have the exact amount being transferred.
What do you mean you have a trail of money?
We have the
SARS reports.
No, Venmo. It was through Venmo. So
Oh,
we have
Venmo.
Matt Gates Venmoing his friend, and then his friend Venmoing that exact amount to underage girls. And those underage girls did come to Washington. And his buddy says that's, and his buddy who was sending that message said that's what happened.
Well, look, I'll just do what you do when it comes to impeachment and wire transfers and say that there's no proof.
What do you mean?
Right. Well, because this is your guy. Like a Venmo from an account to another account to someone else's account isn't proof.
Well, it would. So, for example, if you had a Venmo from Burisma for an exact amount, and then that exact amount was sent to Hunter Biden, and then Hunter Biden sent that exact amount to Joe Biden, then I'd be like, oh yeah, that's pretty good proof. But you don't even have that.
Oh, that's
you have $0. You have $0 linked to Joe Biden.
They had $0 linked to Joe, even though there was. I mean, right? But again, if you're gonna play, it's like you can play that game. I'll just play it right back, right?
Let's play it right back then. Let's compare the differences. Let's play it right back.
Sure. You just have to have your blinders on to not think that Joe Biden wasn't complicit in all of that.
No, I just want evidence that he got some money. Can you show me any evidence that he got money?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's all going to play out eventually.
So you don't have any, but you think there will be evidence.
Yeah, I'm not making that claim, right? I'm backing up. I'm refuting. I'm giving you pushback on the claim, but you're saying that Venmo to Venmo, right? And all of a sudden,
pretty good evidence.
Now you have this. Hang on, now you have this like lower burden of proof. Like,
No. I expect if you gave me that if you gave me that same scenario where you could connect money to Joe Biden that came from China through his son to Joe Biden, I would happily say like, yes, start the investigation or send him to court. Do whatever you need to do. I would happily agree with that. But so far, the Republicans have tied $0 and 0 cents to Joe Biden. Zero. You got to tie something at some point.
Right, and I don't think anybody, like, if what you're saying about Matt Gaetz is so true and they had that proof, why didn't they charge him?
Well, he married the girl.
That doesn't, you can't just, so was he dating, like, what was the
underage girls? She was 17. Her sister, by the way, her sister also claims that she was paid by Matt Gaetz, but not that she did anything, but let's just say Matt Gaetz didn't have sex with any of these girls. He's still paying for underage girls to leave their state to come see him. That's weird. That's weird.
So
at the very least, he's paying for underage girls to come see him.
Wait, how are you this doesn't, you're based off of a Venmo transfer?
Yes, and testimony.
And testimony? Like what testimony?
From his friend Joel Greenberg.
Oh, okay, from his friend. And what'd they do? They put on an affidavit?
Well, Joel Greenberg is in prison for can't remember what exactly his charges were. What's that?
Paging Dr. Greenberg.
Well, he was the tax collector in Seminole County, which is he was best friends with Matt Gaetz.
I mean, it seems like the guy's
he's been federally indicted on 33 counts, including sex trafficking crimes involving a 17-year-old. And Greenberg says that Gaetz was involved in that.
Wait, what was he charged with, though? I mean, that was what he was indicted
with.
Wait, so you're saying he was convicted?
Greenberg, yes.
He was convicted of child sex trafficking, or I'll say that word better next time. But okay, and then are you now? This is like you're correlating that with Matt Gaetz.
Well, so Gaetz and Greenberg are both connected to. There was at least one girl. I think at the time this girl was 18. She worked in the adult film industry. There was a transaction that was directly tied to Matt Gaetz's account That's the only one that's like Matt Gaetz paying somebody specifically. Anything that went to underage girls seemed to come from Greenberg, and Greenberg says that he was getting that money from Gaetz. And you can show that there were times when Gaetz was sending money to Greenberg, and Greenberg was sending that money on. But the reason Gaetz has largely stayed out of this is because the only one that he directly sent money to was 18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly like. I'm attached to Matt Gaetz. I mean, just like the way he talks and the way he looks. He's kind of like his mouth is kind of weird and they like kind of short. But
that's fine. I'm just saying, like, why are all of you? Why are all the people at the top of the GOP such scumbags?
Well, hey, I didn't put.
Like, why can't you put up good people?
So, but I have to. No, wait, hang on. I didn't put any of them there. So I just have to go. I have to work with what we have. Would you agree?
No. I'm not saying it was your fault. I'm saying, why do you think all the people at the top are such scumbags?
RTP's like, it's your fault, Jeffrey.
I mean, no, but why? Like, why do you think it's so easy to get to the top as a scumbag? Like,
they're all scumbags. Like, it doesn't seem.
Well,
I mean, isn't there dirt
careful.
on all of them? Like, literally,
No.
I think there's dirt on a ton of Democrats too. Like, that's all I hear.
Who? Give me one.
Fuck. Joe Biden.
What's the dirt?
Well, what they're impeaching him for, really, or what they're trying to impeach him for. I mean, that would be the most egregious offense. It's funny that the
which is what are they what are they trying to impeach him for?
They're what do you mean? What are they for influence peddling? What do you mean?
Yeah,
why are you trying to?
Okay, and where's the evidence of that?
Oh, we're going back around this loop.
Yeah, you need it. I just gave you all the evidence. I just gave you. Could we agree that what I gave you was way more evidence than what you gave me?
No, not really.
Okay.
Face it. I mean, because look,
you've given me no evidence.
No, I mean, look, I'm believing what you're telling me, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and like make you like show me these documents and take an hour to do so. Right? I'm just generally just taking your word for it. And I've heard these allegations before, so it's like nothing like new. So I'm just generally, taking your word for it. But I mean, can you just riddle me this? Like, do you think that? And be honest, do you think that Joe Biden had nothing to do with any of those? Like, do you think he's like squeaky clean?
Yeah, I do. Can I tell you why?
Why'd you were like, yeah.
Can I tell you what? Yeah, can I tell you why?
Always say yes normally.
No, I honestly do, and I'll tell you why. I think he's squeaky clean because he's been in the public eye for 40 years. He ran for vice president. He ran for president twice, won once. He has a remarkably small net worth for a person who is supposedly corrupt. His net worth is somewhere between 10 and 20 million, depending on property valuations. And like most of that money came from a book deal that he got after being vice president. He's remarkably clean for somebody who's been in politics that long. I actually think the people, I have a different opinion than most. I think the people who have been in politics the longest are usually the cleanest. Now they may be in bed with lobbyists, they may be beholden to donors, but generally speaking, they're not personally enriching themselves because it is difficult to hide that for a long time. I think the fact that Joe Biden has been in office this long, he's run for president this many times, and people are going to dig up literally anything they possibly can to try and smear him because that's how politics work. That's either side's going to try and smear the other. The fact that the closest anybody's come up with something to smear Joe Biden is, by the way, even if Joe Biden did get money from his son, none of it would have been illegal because he was not the vice president at the time. He was not in office at the time. The emails they're talking about are from 2017. He was not in office. So even if he had peddled influence, what influence was he peddling? He wasn't in office. I think Biden is remarkably clean. And I think Republicans are so desperate to throw off the scent of how big of a shitbag Donald Trump is that they are embarrassing themselves. They have nothing on Biden. They can't even in a house this divided, in a house this partisan, they can't even impeach him. They don't even have the votes to impeach him.
Wait, hang on. So I want to rewind a little bit because you're basically making the claim that if someone is out of office, they don't have any like influence. Political.
Well,
it's not true, right? Look at
Wait,
Trump.
hold on. That's not what I'm saying. Jeff, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that influence peddling when you are not an elected official is not a crime. It is a crime when you are an elected official.
Yeah,
So
okay, yeah,
so
sure.
you can wield your influence and you can monetize your influence if you're not an elected official. But he wasn't an elected official at that time. And so there's no proof that he did do that. But even if he did, it would have been during the evidence that they're showing is during a time when he was not an elected official. So what's the crime?
Well, that's just what. So it just tells a story, right? It just generates a narrative so people can understand how this thing occurred, right? Because you could throw all these facts at a wall, and if people don't understand like the narrative, or if it doesn't tell a story, it's not going to make any sense, right? So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to tell a story of corruption and influence peddling with his son and everybody involved, right? So
right, but they don't have any evidence to back it up. That's the problem.
I mean, so far, but I mean, they definitely have enough to move forward with an inquiry.
An inquiry. All that takes. You don't even need evidence to move forward with an inquiry. You need agreement. That's the thing about impeachment.
Whoa,
impeachment,
hang on, RTP,
impeachment
you don't
does
need
not.
hang on, you don't need evidence to actually impeach. You just need an agreement.
Correct.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's the point. But the thing is they can't even get impeachment done. That's how little evidence that every single Republican in this country is desperate to impeach Joe Biden. They're desperate to, and there's enough Republicans that are like, guys, I'm fucked if I do this. I'm so fucked if I impeach him without evidence. Gotta give me something. There's enough Republicans that live in purple districts that cannot go and face their voters and say, I impeached him without evidence. That's the problem that you guys have. You're trying to smear somebody with no evidence. And the only reason it's happening is because you've attached your wagon to, quite frankly, the most corrupt person ever to run for president, the most corrupt person ever to be president, and a chronic liar, a chronic criminal, and you guys are still backing Donald Trump. If you abandon Donald Trump right now and said Nick, and if you abandon him and said Nikki Haley, you would win 2024 in remarkable fashion. You can't even get out of your own way.
No, but that's not the way it works, right? You have to go with the base.
Republicans are dumb.
You have to go with the base. Wait, you think all Republicans are dumb?
No, the Republican Party is dumb because the base of the Republican Party is the stupidest people in the Republican Party. You have seized control to the white nationalists and the dumbest of the dumb. You gave control to them when you elected Trump, and now you're stuck.
I don't think it's just white. I think it's like nationalists, like people who care about this country, and they don't have to be white.
I understand, but it's also the white nationalists.
Yeah, it's all Joe Biden. Also, like it's also like terrible people too. Like this is America.
Who are the terrible people that are big Joe Biden fans? What part of the Democrat base is?
Plenty of leftists.
What's the Democrat base?
What's the Democrat base?
Moderates. The Democrat base is moderates. It's a different base. The base of the GOP is fringe. They're alt-right or far-right. But the base of the Democrat Party is moderate, and my proof of that is that Joe Biden won. Joe Biden's the most moderate person possible. He came into the race late. He's 3 trillion years old, and he won. And he won against people like Bernie Sanders, who is obviously far left. He won against what is her name? God damn it! Shit. Oh my God.
Are you talking about the leftists?
What is her name? Somebody help me with her name. Somebody help me. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren, thank you. He beat Elizabeth Warren. He beat Pete Buttigieg, who was like centrist moderate. He was the most moderate candidate they possibly had. The candidate they elected before that was Hillary Clinton. It's a different base. The Democrats' base is moderate.
It's a base, like, for example, like Elon Musk was pretty much a moderate, and he went further right. Now he's probably going to vote for Trump, right? So if anything, you're just
he's just a regular ass alt-righter now.
But hang on, you're making an argument that it's actually easier to move right, and therefore the Republicans will probably be able to, garner the votes through like people who move right. Maybe
no, that wasn't my argument. My argument was that you guys are beholden to the dumbest people and the alt-right.
No, think about this. So if you're looking at on a scale, right, and then the middle is the middle, right? Obviously, moderate is closer to the middle right, whereas the extreme right, which I don't know what you're calling it, right, is way over to the right. So
Yep.
even if the far right came over left a little bit, they're still going to be further away from the middle and further away from being Democrats than, let's say, a moderate, right? And you saw this with Elon
But
Musk.
what are you
He's like,
saying
holy
though?
shit, you guys are
I'm
chasing me
confused.
over to the
I'm
right.
confused what you're saying.
I'm just saying it's easier to get to the right when you're closer to the middle. Does that make sense?
No.
That's-
But no, it doesn't.
and what's your-
Elon Musk
why
is
do
all
you- why do
Elon
you
Musk
not
has
like Elon Musk. I don't
Why
get
don't
it.
I don't like Elon Musk because I think he's anti-Semitic. I think he's a narcissist. I think that I think he's anti-Semitic, and I think he's a narcissist, and I think Elon Musk thinks he's smarter than he is, and Elon Musk understands the protectionism of moving to the far right. When you move to the
Musk
right,
is very
the cool thing about being on the right currently is if you're on the right, it doesn't matter how awful of a person you are, as long as you say you're on the right accepts you. That's why you have the Elon Musk. That's why you have all of these people credibly accused of like sexual misconduct. How about Brian Callen? Brian Callen, just a moderate, middle of the road comedian. He gets hit with sexual assault accusations, and suddenly he's over there with Steven. He's playing with Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder, how'd he treat his wife? Russell Brand. What happened to Russell Brand? 4 years ago, they opened an investigation into Russell Brand about how he treats women, and Russell Brand suddenly shifts far right. Interesting.
Oh, well, I mean,
interesting. There's protection. There's protection because of you, because of people like you, Jeff. Because you guys assume that the reason they're being, because you assume that the reason they're being smeared is because they're on the right. But you're missing the point that the reason they're on the right is because they're being smeared and they know they're protected there. You're misidentifying the problem.
You're okay. I mean, you're sure, but so you're saying that
name one person on the left that has accusations like that.
Hang on, these guys got kicked off of YouTube, right? They lost money. Same with when Elon Musk.
Let's talk about them one by one. Let's talk about them. Who got kicked off YouTube?
Talk about Elon Musk first. Right? Okay. You're saying because you kind of.
I want to go to YouTube. I want to go to the people kicked off YouTube. You want to talk about Steven Crowder?
Well, that's not the guy I want. You brought that up.
Okay, right? Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to talk about that was kicked off YouTube?
You don't want to talk about Elon Musk is because
we'll get to Elon Musk. I'll give you a chance to talk about Elon Musk. Jeff, I want to talk about who was kicked off YouTube first. I promise I'll let you to get to Elon Musk.
Who was kicked off of YouTube? Or I guess Steven Crowder then.
Okay, why was he demonetized?
Why was he demonetized?
Because he's not kicked off YouTube. He was just demonetized.
Yeah, fair point. Which is the equivalent of getting kicked off YouTube. But
yeah, do you know why?
Yeah, it was either the election or the vaccines. I don't know which one.
No, it was because of he had a bunch. One of the times was because he had a bunch of homophobic apparel that he was selling.
Okay.
And he was and so YouTube.
You see the spin? Hang on, you see the twist you put on it? The difference between me and you, we just put a different spin on it. That's it.
Yeah, but here's the thing with YouTube. So
your spin is better than mine.
No, this isn't spin. This is what YouTube said. So YouTube is beholden to their advertisers, right? Steven Crowder is monetized based on Google ads, right? So they take this, they have this whole fund of ad money that YouTube gets, and they distribute it to their content creators. Well, if their content creators are creating content that the advertisers don't want promoted, then they demonetize that person. That's why they have terms and conditions. Steven Crowder knew this beforehand. He knew he couldn't sell those, and the advertisers don't want to advertise with YouTube. That's why when Elon Musk took over Twitter and he brought all these alt-righters back on and all these bigots and all these white nationalists, their monetization, their advertising dropped by 60%. People don't want to do business with bigots.
People don't want to do business with bigots. Okay, so
Correct.
You're saying anybody... Okay. You're saying just because Elon Musk now owns this Twitter where he let people back on for whatever this reason was, because it's Twitter, right? Everybody should be there having an opinion, whatever it may be. That somehow he's now a bigot and they should pull their advertising.
I didn't say they should pull their advertising. I said they did.
Right, but that didn't.
And they
really,
did so because they didn't like that he let back on all these bigots. That's their choice. That's free market capitalism.
So wait. He let back on whom specifically did he let back on? Like what are you talking about?
One of the ones he let back on was what'd you say?
Yee was it Yee or whatever that guy's his name right now? Yeah, fucking what is his name? Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. What's his name?
I think Nick Fuentes was one of them that he let back on.
Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, you a big Nick Fuentes fan?
No, there's a lot of people on Twitter I'm not fans of, but it doesn't mean I think they should be like banned and kicked from all these different platforms.
Well, but the thing is wait, hold on though. The reason they were banned and the reason they were kicked is because advertisers do not want to pay advertising money on a platform that allows speech like that. It's capitalism, baby.
Okay, so advertise. Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But when these advertisers are, generally like leaning left, right, and you're pushing out right leaning whatever, then I mean that should be the real reason, right? Why don't they just like be honest with the reason that they left?
Well, let's be honest. So if you talk about the people that were banned, they weren't banned because they're right leaning. There were tons of right leaning people who were never banned. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, why was she banned?
Why was she banned? I forgot what post. I'm sure I saw the post.
Tons of like crazy vaccine misinformation, and she was saying that wildflowers were started by Jewish people with space lasers.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't that she was right wing, it's that she was a fucking lunatic.
It might be crazy, right? But that's not enough. That's still not a good enough reason to kick someone off of Twitter. Like,
so do you think Twitter should lose money to keep Marjorie Taylor Greene platformed?
No. So what they should lose money on is protecting people's rights.
No. Jeff, they're not being paid. Keep this in mind. How does Twitter get their money?
They get it through advertising.
Okay, so if you have people, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is
sourcing a lot of,
if Marjorie Taylor Greene is on Twitter and she's promoting Jewish space lasers, and advertisers say we're not going to advertise on your platform with somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying these type of things, do they have the right to pull their advertising?
Yep. And
so then what's the right move? Yeah. So what's the right move for Twitter as a business? Should Twitter just say, okay, we'll lose money because Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to say this? Or is the right move for Twitter to say like, okay, well, we need to keep our advertising money, so we're going to get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Because you got to keep in mind she has a base and a following as well.
Doesn't matter.
She's bringing in her own income, and she's also helping.
She's not bringing in income. Jeff, she's not bringing in income. She brings nothing. She brings content. And if the people who pay her for her content, the advertisers, don't want to advertise, then she is not bringing in money. She is losing money. She is costing them money.
Okay, but so you're saying, again, it's cost over what ought to be right and what ought to be good, and that's what Elon took a stand.
I'm sorry, I thought you were a capitalist.
No, you could still be a capitalist, and you could do two things at once, right? And why do you think Elon Musk? He knew what was going to happen. But he knew he had to stand for what was right.
Jeff, let's say you and I open a donut shop together. Great donuts. They're wonderful donuts. I love donuts. I know you don't, because you don't. You would never eat a donut. How dare you? I love donuts. Let's say we open a donut shop, and we hire a staff. And you and I, we don't live there locally, and the donut shop's doing well. And then all of a sudden, we find out like the donut shop isn't doing that good, and we're like, why are we losing all this money? And it turns out that every time somebody comes in and sees our staff is wearing sheets with the holes cut out of them, and we're like, hey, that's not okay. And our staff says, oh, these are just our beliefs. They're just our beliefs. It's freedom of speech. Would we fire that person, or would we say, you know what, we'll just continue to take the L here. We'll just continue to lose the business because, fuck it, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech over capitalism. No, we're firing that person because they're costing us money. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're costing us money. You got to go. Donald Trump, you caused an insurrection. Our advertisers are threatening not to pay us anymore. If you are allowed to use Twitter, sorry, you got to go. And it wasn't just right-wingers. Kathy Griffin was banned. Kathy Griffin was also banned. I wouldn't say Kathy Griffin.
Hang on. Of course she was banned. She sat there with Donald Trump's head, standing, holding it.
Great. Freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech.
That's more than just speech. That's threat.
Wasn't his real head? Wasn't his real head?
Hang on.
Babylon B.
Wait.
Babylon
RTP.
B was banned. That's a parody account.
RTP, let me ask you something. If someone did that and they did a head of you standing there holding it, do you not think that your life, do you not feel like some way about your life, or would you feel threatened?
Yeah, she should have been banned. I think it was great that she was banned. I think that was great.
Hang on, back to the donut shop.
But it's the same. But Jeff, hold on, Jeff, it's the same thing. She was banned because people were so appalled by that. The advertisers we're not going to advertise if shit like this is going to be on your site, and they're like, good point. We got to get rid of her.
Right, and by the way, that was under Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey was. Anyway, Jack Dorsey used to make under Jack Dorsey. Twitter made money. Under Jack Dorsey, they weren't going bankrupt. It was much better under Jack Dorsey.
Okay, hang on. Back to the donut shop, because this is slightly not the best analogy, right? You'd have to make the analogy like we own, like a third party, like where people because all that Twitter is, they're just I think they're just publishers, right? Am I right about that? They just
fine. We have a newspaper. We have a newspaper, and these same people want to put in a full-page ad with them in their costumes saying whatever they want to say. Full-page ad. Would you run that ad?
In their, are you talking about white?
In their outfits, in their outfits. Would you run that ad? Of course. Why not? Wait, right. Jeff. Why wouldn't you run that ad?
Why wouldn't I run that ad? Because you're talking about hoods from the Triple K,
and you're gonna alienate subscribers. You're gonna alienate other advertisers. People are gonna cancel their subscriptions. But it's just freedom of speech, right?
Though. Hang on,
it's just freedom of speech, though, right?
Right. But this is a direct, you're using symbols that mean these exact things. There's no question, right? I don't agree with this. Now you're gonna have to make that analogous to something that Marjorie.
Okay, let's make it directly analogous. Marjorie Taylor Greene takes out a full-page ad. She comes to me and you, Jeff and Jay's newspaper. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, "I want to run a full-page ad." We're like, "Cool, send it to us." She sends us a full-page ad with a picture of a forest fire, and it says, "Jewish space lasers did this." You running that ad, Jeff?
No, it's not. Again,
I'm not running that ad either. I'm not running it either. And Twitter's not playing that shit either. Twitter's go. You gotta go. You gotta go, MGT. You gotta go. But then Elon show up. He's like, nah, it's fucking fine. And now he's shocked that 60% of his ad revenue dried up. He's like, what happened? I don't know.
No,
I don't know what happened.
This was gonna happen.
What he did do, Jeff? He blamed the ADL. He blamed the ADL.
Right, which is the freaking, the head of all the advertisers or whatever. Is that what it is? I don't know.
No, the Anti-Defamation League?
Oh, that was something. Yeah, that was something.
He blamed them. Wait, he blamed them.
No, he was talking about something they specifically said, though.
No. What he said is that the ADL has been reaching out to advertisers telling them not to advertise with Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's you got to be careful with that.
Capitalism, baby. Capitalism.
Yeah, but again, you got someone that has billions of dollars. That's someone you might not want to get sued by, right?
What?
Well, they're going to get sued probably, right? Aren't they?
Who?
I thought that's
the ADL.
Yeah.
No.
Pretty sure he's gonna file some sort of defamation lawsuit.
I'm sure he'll fire some. He's not gonna get shit. He would have to prove that there was a conspiracy. He doesn't have shit.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Did Elon kick them off the app?
Kick who off the app?
ADL.
I don't know. I don't even know if they have. I
Seems
don't even know
pretty
if they have one.
unbiased to me. Like even people that talk shit about him hate his guts.
Wait,
You know,
nobody's.
he
I'm
keeps
not.
there.
Wait, hold on. I'm not saying he's biased. I'm saying he's wrong. There's a difference.
Oh yeah, okay, fine. But
Yeah, he's
you're gonna act
blaming
like you're-
he's blaming
what's your
them
point?
for the fact that he's got a right, like he has a right wing hellscape. He's also inflated his own numbers. He's also changed the algorithm to artificially inflate his numbers so the engagement
How
goes
do you know
directly to him.
that?
He also used his app.
Yeah.
He also has used his app to. There's a kid that's from Portland. There were these riots in Portland, and he was unmasked as a psyop, right? Saying that he was clearly a liberal, but he was there as an instigator in a right-wing mob. Turns out this kid was on the other side of the country, and he was at a baseball game. He was not the person that Elon Musk said he was, and now his life has been ruined. Ruined because Elon Musk wanted to call it a psyop. This is why Elon Musk is losing money, because he's the CEO of Twitter and he's online ruining people's lives for no fucking reason.
If Elon made one post about you and it got millions of views, you would become famous overnight.
Yeah, but this guy got famous. Wait, no, this guy got famous for being a psyop, and now his entire family is in hiding because right-wingers keep threatening his life.
How do you know that?
Because I've heard his attorney, and I've seen his attorney. Now they're suing Elon Musk, and his attorney has shown some of the stuff that he's been sent.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, but don't you think Elon Musk should probably realize what he's doing? You don't think for advertisers that they're looking at that going, what the fuck is this guy doing? He just endangered an entire family for no reason because he wanted to promote a conspiracy theory of psyops.
He just endangered. Okay, so let's see these. Like, prove what you're saying right now. Like, what do you?
What?
I don't believe it, honestly.
Well, of course you don't
See,
believe
never
it.
mind. Don't do that. I only got about 3 more minutes. So anyway, let's wrap this up. So you're saying the point. So what's your whole point? Like this, you're proving the point that it's capitalism. It's his company, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying he sucks at it. That's all I'm saying is Elon Musk is an idiot and he sucks at running Twitter.
Do you know who this man is? Do you know he sent us back into space?
He sent us back into space?
Hold on. He built a rocket that he could reuse that landed on the ground itself.
Do you know what he? Yeah, can I tell you what he really? Can I tell you what he? Jeff.
Yeah, let
Jeff,
me guess. You're gonna say he stole the name Tesla. Go ahead.
No, what I'm going to say, and if you've ever been to Florida and if you've ever been to SpaceX, you'll know that it's you'll know that it's at NASA. And what all he really did is he went in and he hired a bunch of NASA people and he put money into it and he said, "Here's the money. Go ahead, like let's explore space." And he basically did what the government wouldn't, and he funded a bunch of really smart people that allowed them to do a lot of really cool things. Bravo to Elon Musk. Elon Musk didn't come up with that idea himself. He didn't come up with the technology himself. He just had a lot of money. He inherited a lot of money. He has done well, like investing in certain companies. He's one of the PayPal people. He's done. I don't know what his inheritance was.
Yeah, dude. The guy did a good job with everything. Everything he's touched like works, and he sold it for more than what he got it for. Right. So basically, everything he touches turns to gold. And now you're saying this one thing that he now touches, which is Twitter, is somehow like even worse off than it was. No, dude. It's
way worse. It's way worse than it was. No, it's way worse than it was. No, it's way worse. They lost 60% of their ad revenue. What company do you take over and lose 60% of your revenue and you call that a success?
Yeah, because that's just the way it goes in the beginning. Right? Sometimes you got to take a loss for the bigger win, buddy. Hang on, RTP. This is life, my friend. This is how it works. You get knocked down, you get back up. So this is the story of a champion here.
Twitter is behind. Twitter is behind, like they're like number 23 in average, somewhere around like 20. I don't know what the number is. They're like number 20 on apps with average engagement. The Twitter engagement since Elon took over has dropped massively. Not only do businesses not want to do business with him, but people don't want to use Twitter anymore. Ever since he took over, the company has gotten way worse.
You're still on Twitter? Everybody's still on X.
I barely use it. Engagement has plummeted under Elon Musk. If you don't know this, look it up.
Look, I don't even use it either. Like, honestly, I've lost all interest in it. I picked it up.
Yeah, it got shitty, didn't it? It got pretty shitty, didn't it?
I mean, it's still the same. Like, I think that my account has been banned since, like, what's his name had it, so it's kind of like I'm in the shadow or something. But yeah, I've never been a huge. I think I like the concept of Twitter. I think it's great, and it's not going anywhere. Like I think it's just going to get bigger and better.
It's actually dropping. It's getting worse. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Where's your metric for that? Hang on, what metric are you using for that?
I can pull you up active users. So anytime you're measuring social media, the one thing that you want to measure is active users, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sure.
So since Elon took over, let me pull this up.
I mean, I would be looking for how many people are joining daily.
No, it's active users. You need to know how many people are regularly using it.
Yeah, but that's just one you're going to want to see a couple different numbers, you know?
Yeah, but engagement has been dropping since he took over, and so has ad revenue. There's no measure that you would measure a business that says Elon Musk is doing a good job. None. Zero.
Twitter is an information highway, right? That's the most
Dude, shut the fuck up. Hold on. No, what business? No, hold on. Shush. Hold on. Jeff, can you name Jeff? Pick a business where if you took it over and you lost active users and you lost 60% of your revenue, that you would call that a win.
I would just if it's a good enough business and you had a good enough plan with it, sure, it's definitely a win just by getting it.
When is losing 60% of your revenue a win?
You can call that,
when?
Sure, let's call it a lose.
Could you show me another example where losing 60% of your revenue is a win?
Wait, hang on. I agree, right? Let's say it's a loss, but let me ask you this. Do you think you can own a company, it can be a loser in the first couple of years, but after that it becomes a winner, yes or no?
Sure.
Yes, thank you. That's it.
So when he's a winner, come back to me. But until he is, he's a fucking until he wins, he's a loser.
Hang on, he won. He won just by buying it. Do you know?
Actually, he lost by buying it. Here's the funny part about what. Here's the funny part about what happened to him buying. He went in and he stupidly made an offer, and he backed his offer with Tesla stock, and then he tried to back out of the offer, and unfortunately, because of how he had made the offer, he was bound. He was going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars if he backed out of the deal. So he was forced to buy Twitter at a valuation that was far too high. He picked a valuation higher than it needed to be. It was a terrible acquisition. And then when he came in order to try and recoup that money, he cut the staff and he cut the moderation team. And suddenly it became a right-wing hellhole that nobody wants to be in. And advertisers fled and users fled. And now you have less active users, you have less engagement, and 60% less ad revenue. And you're saying, well, eventually there's going to be enough of us white nationalists that this will be a good thing again. That wasn't spin. All of that happened. All of that happened.
Put the HVAC spin on it, right? And this is the fact.
Please
right?
do.
What happened was Twitter was under terrible management with Jack Dorsey. He was under fire, especially what was happening with the elections, right? So Elon Musk noticed this, and he's also a very powerful, rich man. So he's like, hell, I'll offer to buy the company, right? He gave a number based off of the amount of users that they said that they had, right? And in the middle of this acquisition, he found out there was like 10% bots, right? So he's like, well, I'm not going to do this because there's 10% bots. That means you're overinflating what the company is actually worth, right? But then it was a stalemate between the two. He's like, well, you got to go to court. You'll still lose a shitload of money because the revenue is automatically dropping just based off of this action, right? So what he had him do, I think, was to get rid of the bots. And I don't know what the final deal was, but they had to do something in that regard. And then he bought Twitter, right? And then, of course, all the leftists, all the, whatever it was, projecting that, Elon is a racist. He's going to let everybody back on. The end of the world's going to occur because of this. Yes, they all left, or whatever, 60% of them. But as time is going on, he's building it up. He's rebranding it. He's repositioning and restructuring it in a way that's going to be more. And we already know the one thing Elon is good at is restructuring and making it more cost effective.
Nope, that's not what he's good at. Actually, that's not what he's good at all.
That's how he made SpaceX. You understand the very thing that he did.
That's not what Elon does. Elon has largely operated at losses. Elon operates like most tech companies. He operates at a loss. He's always done that. He's the first person ever to lose $200 billion in value thanks to his Twitter deal. He lost $200
billion.
$4 billion in value.
Yeah, that's a sign of being a
And
fucking
now,
badass.
and here's, did you know that if he tweets anything about Tesla, he has to get that approved by a board, because he kept fucking up so bad that the board at Tesla said, you're not allowed to tweet about Tesla anymore. You have to get your tweets approved by us now because you keep losing us too much money. Did you know that?
What's your source for that? What are you talking about?
Well, you can look it up, but there's a board at Tesla that now has to approve his tweets. That's why he doesn't tweet about Tesla anymore.
Yeah, but I mean that could be
$200 billion, dude.
Interesting. I mean, again, I definitely have to look into that like little weird narrative there. But yeah, I mean, again, I think he's still like, dude, the guy, like he's a good businessman. Like I gotta say, like I gotta hand to him. He's got some swinging nuts, that's for sure.
So according to Elon Musk, the company Twitter has lost, based on his math, Twitter has lost roughly 90% of its value since he took over.
90% of its value? Where are you getting this from?
So he said that the ADL single-handedly vaporized roughly $4 billion in X's value. That accounts for around 10%. So I can do this for you. That puts a total of about $40 billion. Since Elon Musk and his partners paid $44 billion, including debt, he's implying that the platform would now change hands for $4 billion. So because they took out $4 billion in revenue, and they're $40 billion in debt, that he has wiped out 90% of their value. Because remember, he added debt to Twitter. When he purchased them, he added debt. So 90% of the value of Twitter is gone. Twitter now is basically worth $4 billion, and he bought it for $44 billion. Or $40 billion, excuse me.
Okay, let's say even if I agree with all
pretty good
numbers,
businessman there. It was worth $40 billion. Now it's worth $4 billion. Success, capitalism, Elon, hooray!
Hang on, something's only worth what someone else is willing to.
These are just his words, dude. This is just what he says. He says it's worth $4 billion. That's what he's saying.
When did Elon say it was worth $4 billion?
Okay, listen. I don't know if you know how. So it's valued at $44 billion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now there's $40 billion in debt, right?
Well, it might not. Hang on. How do you know it's valued at 44? You said 44 billion.
No, these are Elon's words. Elon said it's valued at 44 billion. There's 40 billion in debt, and the ADL wiped out $4 billion in their debt because he's blaming the ADL for the revenue. So they lost $4 billion in revenue. So if your company is worth $44 billion and the $4 billion of revenue gets taken away and you're $40 billion in debt, see what I mean?
Okay, so if someone tries to buy, this isn't.
He's doing a great job.
Hang on, there's a lot of accounting and like things you got. No, that's not. It doesn't just work that simply, right? You can't balance.
It does. If he could not sell Twitter, he would take a loss if he tried to sell Twitter right now. He would take a massive
I
loss.
agree with that. For sure. But he's not going to sell it.
Good job, Elon. You bought high, buy high, sell low, Elon.
Hang on, you do understand that
maybe
he
you can
picks
sell
up
some of that Dogecoin.
Hang on, he picks up losers, which Twitter was becoming, and he makes
Twitter was a winner. He paid $40 billion. Okay, Twitter started by whoever started. I don't know if Dorsey did. I don't think he started. Maybe he did. But Twitter was started out of a garage, and they sold it for $40 billion. That's a fucking win. That's a huge win, from 0 to $40 billion. And now you're going from $40 billion to negative money. That's a loss.
Yeah, well,
Elon's not winning here. This is an Elon L.
Elon, sure, but now it's much more fair, and they're not just censoring Republicans. So
fair.
Straight to 2024.
Like, yeah,
more fair. Make it a loss, but hang on. Now the information highway is now clear. Now everybody can have a say, right? It's not just Democrats during the election and hiding Hunter Biden's laptop, right? Now it's going to be fair, buddy. And and that's the only thing that people can rely on these days is TikTok and Twitter. Like, I'm serious. Like, if
you don't even use Twitter, what do you rely on? Just TikTok?
Oh, I hop on Twitter like once a day.
You just said you don't ever use it. You just said you don't ever use it, and you were shadow banned.
No, I have like 10 different accounts on Twitter. Yeah, I hop on
Okay.
Twitter every
You
now
went
and
from
again.
not using it to sorry. I do have a hard cutoff,
No,
Jeff. I got Jeff.
look, compared to TikTok,
Jeff.
let's face it, my screen
Jeff.
time on TikTok is insane.
I'm not trying to fuck with you. I have a hard cutoff at 1. I gotta go pick up my daughter.
No,
So
you're good,
we can pick it
you're
up
good.
another time, dude.
All
All right,
right,
brother.
stay in
Be
my
well.
chats with some WRTP. So I
Yeah,
love
go in and harp on Jeff anytime you want.
Okay,
All right, brother. We'll see you.
Later, bro.
All right, everybody. 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every day, Monday through Friday. That's another W for RTP against Jeff. The W's are racking up. I'm like the Bulls. I'm like the 96 Bulls at this point. It's getting a little rough. But thank you guys for the support. Slow start today. Thanks for the opposition that came on. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 sharp. See ya.
Yeah, because I don't have any reason to believe that God exists.
I would rather say that we would have to discover God or know that thing some people call God rather than believe in it. Because if we believe in something, that means we only hope something might possibly exist, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, no, actually, generally, if you believe in something, you think it's true. Right? That's what belief means.
I think if someone is an atheist or they don't believe in God at all, I think we should approach it from a different angle. Instead of looking for God directly, we should first start with ourselves, and that should be the starting point, not starting right away from God.
Okay.
And at this point, there comes, for example,